Are you interested in learning web development and want to master the fundamental of HTML, CSS and JavaScript? Look no further. Our course is designed to provide you with hands-on experience and practical skills in building interactive web projects. Hello, my name is Jayant Sarkar. I am full stack web developer and online instructor. Over the span of 10 days, I am going to cover 10 interactive examples of JavaScript, HTML and CSS. So let's take a look what we are going to cover in this series. This is day 1 and it is our first example. And in this example, we are going to create JavaScript Accordion. At day 2, we are going to create tabs. How we can create tabs using JavaScript, CSS and HTML. And at day 3, we are going to create scroll to top button. And when I click the go to top button, as you can see, it's back to the first place. Then at day 4, we are going to create sticky header bar. And at day 5, we are going to create side menu. And at day 6, we are going to create a slider. How we can create slider using JavaScript, HTML and CSS. And at day 7, we are going to learn how we can create modified confirm box. I know you are familiar with default confirm box, but in this tutorial, we are going to learn how we can create modified confirm box. At day 8, we are going to create this modal box. When I click on open modal, as you can see, our modal box appear. But if I click outside of this modal, it disappears. And at day number 9, we are going to create this filter table. From here, you can search the particular name. When you type the first keyword K, as you can see, it already shows result related K character. And in our last day, we are going to create this to-do list. If you want to add new list item in this list, yes, you can. Just type the word Apple. Then I press add button. As you can see, it add Apple in our list. And if you want to remove Apple from this list, yes, you can. Just click on cross button. You can remove any list item. And if you don't want to remove this item, then you can deselect and select it again. So these are all very good examples. By the end of this course, you will be equipped with the skill and confidence to build your own interactive web projects. This course is perfect opportunity to take your abilities to the next level. So what are you waiting for? Enroll this course now. And before we start the project journey, I would like to introduce some Udemy courses. These courses are very organized and advanced regard to web development. If you are interested to learn advanced CSS like advanced CSS function, selector, grid, flexbox, sass, and animation, you can try out this course. At the next course, you are going to learn about SVG animation with JavaScript and CSS. This is the bestseller course regard to this field on Udemy. You are going to learn all the essentials for SVG animation. Also, you are going to learn SVG advanced filters. And then I prefer you to learn DOM manipulation. Manipulating DOM is the most essential part in web development. And this is the most complete and beginner-friendly course on JavaScript DOM. At last, if you want to learn advanced CSS animation for your web projects like 3D animation, various transitions, then you can try this course. This is the very well organized and beginner-friendly course. And remember, you don't need to pay big amount money for that. You can buy this course below than $10 if you click on this link, which I provided in my description section. If you want to enhance your front-end web development capabilities, then these courses are very good. So let's jump into the project section. Hello guys, welcome back. In this tutorial, we are going to learn how we can create accordion using JavaScript. But before we need to understand what is accordion and what can we do with it. So as you can see, I open an example in my browser. Accordion comes with some title. If I click any of the title, it's going to show the content related to this title. And if I click another title, as you can see, it shows the content, but it hides the previous content from title 3. So in this tutorial, we are going to create this accordion using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. In accordions, you can add images, you can add multiple paragraphs, etc. These accordions are very helpful for question answer purpose. If user click on any question, they got the answer right now. So without wasting your time, let's start the practical. So as you can see, side by side, I open my Visual Studio Code editor and my browser using live server extension. And I already created an HTML document named index.html. And inside the body tag, we have heading 1 tag. So here I'm going to start our accordion, and here I'm going to take a div. So I will type dot accordion. Div class accordion. Then inside this accordion class, we need to take multiple accordion items. And to create an accordion item, I'm going to take another div tag dot accordion dash item. So this is our first accordion item in our accordion. Then inside this accordion item, I'm going to take accordion title. So we'll create dot accordion dash title. And inside this title section, I'm going to put some text. Here I'm going to type accordion title 1. Accordion title 1. And now I'm going to take another div for accordion content. So here I'm going to type dot accordion dash content. And inside this container, I'm going to type accordion container 1. With that, I'm going to add some more text. So here I'm going to type lorem 13. Here I'm going to add total 30 words. So here we create our first accordion item. And I want total 4 accordion items. For that, I want to select this section and duplicate it 3 times. Also, I'm going to change the title. This is accordion number 2, accordion title 2, accordion content 2, and this one accordion title 3, accordion content 3, and this is last one. Accordion title 4, accordion content 4, and I'm going to save this file. After save this file, you can see in my browser, we successfully create multiple accordion items. Item 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now, we need to start the styling part. So, inside the head tag, I'm going to take style tag. So, inside this style tag, first I'm going to style the accordion section. So, I copy the class name accordion, and here I'm going to select this one, accordion. Then, inside the curly braces, first, here I'm going to use font family. Font family, and I'm going to choose Arial font. Also, I'm going to add width to this accordion. Width, here I'm going to type 450 pixels. For now, I'm going to add a border. Border 1 pixel, and I want solid border. Solid. And I want black color 000. If I set this file, now you can see the whole accordion size. If you notice, you can see it add a black color border to our accordion. And also, we specify the width to this accordion, which is 450 pixels. And now, I'm going to style the accordion titles. If you open an accordion item, you can see accordion title and accordion content. First, I'm going to style this section, accordion title. So, copy the class name accordion title, and after accordion, here I'm going to type dot accordion title. Then, inside the curly braces, first, I'm going to use color. Color, and I want white color. Hash SSA. So I say title text color white. With that, I'm going to take background color. Background color red. If I save this file, you can see the result. But it does not look so good. So here I'm going to add some padding to this title section. Padding 10 pixel. After step this file, now you can see the result. And now I want to add hover effect to this Accordion title section. For that, I'm going to copy this section, Accordion title. And also here I'm going to use a pseudo selector colon, and here I'm going to use hover effect. Hover. Then inside the curly braces, when I hover this title section, I want to change the background color. So here I'm going to use background property. Background hashtag, and I want to select 981616. After set this file, if I hover my cursor on this section, as you can see, it's changed the background color of this title. But there is a problem with that. Whenever I hover my cursor on this title section, instantly change the background color. I want to add some smoothness whenever I hover my cursor on it. So here I'm going to type another property name, which is transition. Transition, I want to transition our background. And I want to transition our background section for 1 second. 1 second. After set this file, if I hover my cursor on this title section, now you can see it takes some time to change the background color. It takes 1 second to change the background color. And now I'm going to style the content section. This part, Accordion content. So I copy the class name. So inside this style section, I'm going to select the Accordion content part. And inside the curly braces, first I'm going to change the background color of this content. So I want to use background property. Background, and I want this color code. A6, D6, F. It's a kind of yellowish color. If I set this file, you can see the result. It's a light gold color. And for some gap, I want to add some padding. Padding 10 pixel. After add some padding, now you can see the result. It's look pretty good. Now if you notice, you can see every accordion attached to each other. Now we need to provide some gap between them. For that, we need to select the accordion item class, this one. And so I'm going to select this tag, accordion item, and insert the curly braces, and I want to add some margin at bottom side. So here I'm going to type margin bottom 10 pixel. After set this file, you can see the result. It is add some little margin to this accordions. Now, when the user open the page, I want to hide accordion content. I do not want to show the content. For that, we need to use display none property. Let me show you. So in our accordion content section, here I will type display property. Display none. If I set this file, as you can see, it hide our content. Using JavaScript, we are going to show the content. So whenever we click on this accordion title section, it's going to show that particular title content. For that, we need to embed click event to all of this title section. So we successfully done our HTML and CSS part. And now, here we need to embed click event to all of these items. For that, we need to run loop for all of these titles. And also we need to add click event to accordion title. So we are going to start the JavaScript. Outside the div tag, I'm going to take script tag. Script. So inside the script tag, I'm going to take a variable which name is accordion item. And to declare the variable, I'm going to use const. Const, and our variable name is accordion item. And now I want to target all the accordion item elements. For that, I'm going to type document dot query selector all. Inside the round braces, and I want to select all the according item. So I copy the class name and inside the double quote dot according item. Then semicolon to end this line. So it successfully stored all the according item to this variable, which is according item. And now we need to run the loop according to the item length. So in the next line, I'm going to type according item dot. Here I'm going to use for each function. For each. Then inside the round braces, I'm going to declare a function. Function, it is an anonymous function. And inside this round braces, I'm going to pass a variable. And our variable name is item. Then inside the curly braces, also we can use arrow function here. Let's use arrow function. For that, I'm going to remove function keyword and parenthesis. And here I'm going to type items equal to arrow sign. As you know, this is arrow operator. Now, inside this arrow function, we need to target according title. Also, we need to target according content. So inside this function, I'm going to take a variable for title. So here I'm going to type const and our variable name is title. Title equal to, so whenever we run our loop for first time, it's going to store first according item in this variable, according items. And now I want to store according title and according content in different variable. So in our first variable title, I want to store according title. So a const title equal to item dot query selector. Inside the round braces, inside the double quote, I'm going to select this one, according title dot according title. Then semicolon to end this line. It means from the according items, we select according title. Similarly, we need to select according content. So I duplicate this line and I'm going to change the variable name content. Content equal to item.querySelector according content. So I replace according title with according content. And now I want to apply add event listener to this title variable. And with the help of it, I want to add click event. So here I'm going to type title dot add event listener, and here I'm going to pass click event. So whenever user click on this title portion, I want to call it an anonymous function. And here I want to use another arrow function. So I create a arrow function. So whenever user click on this title portion, I want to add a new class in our title class. I want to say, suppose user click on according title 4, then it's going to add a new class to this portion, which is active. Basically, I want to say, whenever I click on it, I want to add an active class to this portion. For that, we need to select item. Item dot, and I'm going to call class list. Class list dot toggle function. Now the question is, why we use toggle function? So whenever a user click on this title first time, it's going to add active class. And if the user click on this title second time, then it's going to remove the active class. So this is the usage of toggle. Then inside the single quote, I'm going to put the class name, which is active. Then semicolon to end this line. Sorry, this command going to add the active class on this item section, according item, not the according title. So whenever we click on this according title, it's going to add active class to the according item. And now I'm going to style this active class. So here inside this style tag, I'm going to type dot active, and inside the curly braces, I'm going to start our CSS. So inside this style section, with the according item, if there is a class named active, then inside the round braces, then I want to show the according content. So I'm going to select this class according content, and after active, I'm going to add this class. And here I'm going to use a property named display block. So after save this file, if I hover my cursor according title 3 and click on it, as you can see, it shows the content portion. At the same way, we can open second title, we can open third one, we can open fourth one, also first one. And if I click this title second time, as you can see, it closes this portion. Similarly, if I click all of it, here you can see it hides the content. Because as I told you, here we use toggle function. This function works like switch. When we click on it first time, it's going to add the class. And when we click on the second time, it's going to remove the class. If I show you my console, as you can see in my element section, at the Accordion item 4, you can see active class. Because here we open our Accordion item 4. But if I close this Accordion, now you can see it removed the active class. Similarly, if I click on Accordion title 3, now you can see it add active class Accordion title 3. But if I click it again, it removed the class. So this is the usage of toggle function. Now let's back to the Visual Studio Code Editor. But there is a problem. As you can see, I can open all of this Accordion. But I don't want to open all the items at the same time. So if I open only the second item, others should be closed. Basically, I want to hide other one content. For that, we need to remove the active class from the other item. To do that, we need to play a trick. Suppose I click on the item 3. Then our function going to check other sibling class have same active class or not. If they have the same active class, mean they are open, then remove the active class from the sibling. So for that, again we need to run a loop for all of these Accordion items. So here, I'm going to use a for loop. For, inside the round braces, first I'm going to declare a variable. Var, and our variable name is I. So here, I'm going to use a for loop. For, inside the round braces, I'm going to declare a variable. Var, I, assign with 0. And I want to run the loop up to Accordion item length. So I less than Accordion item length. Items dot length function. And semicolon 2 in this line. So we have total 4 Accordion items. So it's going to run our loop for 4th time. And to run the loop, also we need to increment it. So I plus plus. So after entering the loop, we need to check all the Accordion items. Is that the same Accordion item that users select currently? If users select only item 4, then we need to put the active class only item 4, not other one. For that, inside this loop, we need to use if condition. If inside the round braces, and inside the round braces, we need to pass the condition. And our condition is Accordion item inside the square braces, it's an array. So we need to pass the item number I not equal to item. It's mean if user not select the current item, then remove the active class. So inside this curly braces, we need to remove the active class. So I'm going to type Accordion item inside the square braces, item number I dot. Here we need to use class list method to remove the class. Class list dot remove. And inside the remove function, we need to pass the class name which I want to remove. And I want to remove active class. And semicolon 2 in this line. Else, inside the curly braces, else if user click on the current item, then add this active class. So copy this section and put it inside the else part. So basically what it's going to do, if user click on any title, then it's going to check is that at present item or not. If this is not a at present item, but the item have the active class, then remove the active class. But if this is the at present item, then add the active class. Now let's set the file and see is it work perfectly or not. So first I'm going to click item number 4. As you can see, it shows the content. But if I click on item number 2, now you can see it hides the item number 4 content and show the item number 2 content. So using it, at the same time we can open only one item. And if you want to make this title section clickable, I want to say when you hover on your cursor on this title section, you want to show your cursor as a pointer. For that, we need to back to the Accordion title section. Accordion title. And here we need to use a property named cursor. Cursor pointer. If I set this file and hover my cursor any of the title, now you can see our cursor arrow convert to a pointer. And if I click on it, we can see the content. Now it's look like a clickable link. And we successfully create our accordion. And if I remove the border of this current container, let me show you. So I'm going to remove this one and set this file. Now you can see it's look perfect. Here you can add anything to your accordion section. You can add image gallery, multiple questions, etc. So this is it for this tutorial. In our upcoming tutorial, we are going to learn more about web design components. Thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned. Hello guys, good to see you back. Once again, I'm back with a new project related to JavaScript, HTML and CSS. And in this tutorial, we are going to learn how we can create tabs using JavaScript, CSS and HTML. So as you can see in a browser, we open an example. Here you can see tab title, and whenever we click on it, it's going to show the content related to this tab title. As you can see, our tab 1 is activated. If I click on tab 2, now you can see tab 2 content, and it automatically hides tab 1 content. Similarly, it's work for tab 3. Now it hides tab 2 content and show tab 3 content. So I hope you are already familiar with tabs. So without wasting your time, let's start the practice. So as you can see, side by side I open my Visual Studio Code editor and my browser using Live Server extension. And I already created an HTML document named index.html. And here we are going to create a tab. But first we need to create the buttons. So at first I'm going to take a container plus tab dot tab div class tab, and inside this div, here I'm going to take multiple buttons. So at first I'm going to take a button tag, button, and inside this tag I'm going to type tab 1. And if you don't want to use buttons, you can take unordered list. So now I'm going to assign a class to this button, and the class name is class tab link, and this is a common class. With that, I'm going to take a data attribute. So I'm going to type data, and our attribute name is tab, and I'm going to take a name for this tab, which is tab 1. Tab 1. Data attribute introduced in HTML file, and it's allowed to create your own attribute name. Class is predefined attribute. Similarly, we can create our own attribute, and our attribute name is data tab. For that, first you need to type data hyphen, then you can take your own name. And also I assign a value to this tab, which is tab 1. And in future, I'm going to use this value. And now I'm going to duplicate this button 2 times. And I'm going to change the text and data tab value. This is tab number 2. And also data tab 2. And this is tab number 3. Data tab 3. So I successfully create our button. And now if user click on tab 1, then I want to show tab 1 related content. Similarly for tab 2 and tab 3. For that, I'm going to take another div, and our div class is tab content. So I'm going to type dot tab content. With that, also I'm going to take another attribute, which is ID. ID equal to tab 1. It means when user click on tab 1 button, then it's going to show tab 1 content. And inside this div class, I'm going to take a heading h2, heading 2. And here I'm going to type tab 1. Then after heading, I'm going to take a paragraph p. And inside this paragraph, I'm going to type some random text. Lorem 50 word. So in this tab content, we have a heading tag and a paragraph tag. And this is our first tab content. Similarly, we need to create 2 more tab content for tab 2 and tab 3. So I'm going to select this portion and duplicate it 2 times. Then I'm going to replace the heading name, tab 2. This is for tab 2. Also we need to change the ID, tab 2. Similarly, we need to change the heading name for tab 3, tab 3. And also I'm going to change the content. I'm going to add different content in different tabs. So here I'm going to add another paragraph. And I'm going to type lorem 10 characters, 10 words. And from our tab 3, I'm going to reduce some words. So let's save the file and see is it work properly or not. Yes, it's worked. Here you can see total 3 buttons. And also you can see tab content, tab 1, tab 2 and tab 3. And now we need to style this portion. So I'm going back to the head tag. And inside the head tag, I'm going to use style tag. Style. At first, I'm going to take a universal selector, which is star. Then inside the curly braces, our first property name is box sizing. Box sizing. And here I'm going to use border box value. I use this property because in future, if I add padding to any tab, then it's not going to increase the width of this tab. And now I'm going to style the body tag. Body. And inside this body tag, first I'm going to provide a background color. Background. And here I'm going to use a light gray color. For that, I'm going to type light gray. After save this file, you can see the result. Next, I'm going to style this container, D, class tab. This container holds 3 of this button. So I'm going to type dot tab inside the round braces, inside the curly braces. First, I'm going to assign width to this container. Width 500 pixel. With that, I'm going to add another property, which is overflow. Overflow hidden. If I save this file, you can see the result. And I'm going to save this file. In future, if I add multiple tabs, I don't want to overflow this tab section. And also I'm going to add a temporary border to this tab section. And I'm going to type border and the value is 1 pixel. And I'm going to use solid color. Solid and the color name is black. After save this file, you can see the result. Here we use 500 pixel width, also a border. And now I want to style all the button which is inside this tab. So I want to select all the buttons. So inside this tab, I want to select all the buttons. Buttons. Then inside the curly braces, at first I'm going to provide background color to all these buttons. So I'm going to type background and our background color is red. Also, I want to remove all the border from this button. By default, every button have a border. So we need to remove it. For that, we need to use border property. Border none. After save this file, you can see the result. With that, also I'm going to remove the outline. Outline none. And now I'm going to add some padding to this button. So I'm going to type padding from top and bottom. I'm going to take 10 pixel. And from left and right, I'm going to take 15 pixel. If I save this file, you can see the result. And then I'm going to change the color of this font. Color white. And font weight bold. After save this file, you can see the result. Now, if I hover my cursor on this button, now you can see it's not pointer. So we need to make it pointer. That user can feel it is a button, otherwise leave. So I'm going to use another property named cursor. Cursor pointer. And I'm going to save this file. So if I hover my cursor on this button, you can see the result. Now it's become a pointer. And now I want to change the button color when I hover my cursor on this button. For that, we need to use a positive selector hover. So I'm going to copy this selector and I'm going to type dot tab button, and here I'm going to use positive class hover. Hover inside the curly braces background red. And from this color palette, I'm going to change the color. And from this color palette, I'm going to take the darker version of red, something like that. Otherwise, you can use RGB value or hexa value. And also, I want some smoothness to this transition. So I'm going to use transition property here. Transition, and I want to transition this property, background. So copy background, and our transition duration is 0.3 seconds. So to save this file, if I hover my cursor on it, as you can see, it changes the background color. And also it added little smooth transition. And now, if user click on any tab, it's going to add a active class to this tab. So we are going to do that using JavaScript. But before, I'm going to style the active class. So here I'm going to type dot active inside the round braces, inside the curly braces. For that, I'm going to copy this selection and I'm going to paste it here. Tab buttons dot active. Then inside the curly braces, then I want to change the background color of this button. So again, I'm going to take background property. Background gray. And I'm going to set this file. We are going to add the active class using JavaScript to these buttons. So we successfully style our tabs. Now we need to style the content portion. For that, here we use a common class which is tab content. So I copy the class name tab content. So inside this style tag, I'm going to select this class, tab content. And inside the curly braces, first I'm going to provide a background color to our tab content. Background, and I'm going to take white color, white. Also, I'm going to provide width to this tab content, width 500 pixel. I'm going to use same width as tab area, and I'm going to set this file. And you can see the result. Here you can see text are nearly touch with the border. So I'm going to add some padding, and I'm going to take 12 pixel padding. Then I'm going to use another property which is font family, and I'm going to use Arial font, Arial. Also I'm going to provide some line height, 21 pixel. After set this file, you can see the result. And now I want, whenever I load my page, I don't want to show any tab content in this page. For that, we need to use display property. Display none. So if I reload my browser, it's going to hide all the tabs. Let me show you. It hides all the content portion. So this is the first part of this tutorial. In this part, we create the content and style our content. In the next part, we are going to start the JavaScript. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for the next part. Hey guys, nice to see you back. This is the second part of this tutorial. And in this section, we are going to start our JavaScript. In our previous tutorial, we complete the HTML and CSS part of this project. So let's start the JavaScript. After the end div tag, I'm going to take script tag, script, and inside the script tag, we are going to start our JavaScript. At first, we need to add click events all of this button. So we need to run a loop according to the button length. Here we have only 3 buttons. So we need to run a loop for 3 times. And using add event listener, I'm going to add click event to all of this button. So at first I'm going to take a variable, and our variable type is const, and our variable name is tab button, equal to, here I'm going to target all the tab links. You can see in the button we have a class named tab link. So I'm going to copy the class name tab link, and here I'm going to type document dot query selector all function, query selector all, and inside the round braces, inside the single quote, I'm going to pass the class name tab links. So it's going to store all the tab links in this variable, and semicolon to end this line. And for this array, we are going to run a loop. So here I'm going to type, and I'm going to run for loop. for inside the round braces, I'm going to assign a variable where I equal to 0. And now we need to set the condition. And I want to run this I according to the button length. I less than tab button dot length function length. This condition is going to run our loop 3 times as I'm going to end. Then we need to increment the I variable I plus plus, and after running the loop I want to add click event to every button. For that, first I'm going to select this array tab button. Then inside the square braces I want to target the first array item, so I want to pass I. So after select the button, I want to add event listener. Add event listener. And now I want to add click event. Then inside the single quotes, I'm going to type click. So whenever user click this button, I want to run an anonymous function. So I'm going to type function, and it is an anonymous function. And semicolon 2 in this line. Now, whenever user click any of the button, then I want to get the value of data type attribute. If they press tab 1, then we are going to show tab 1 content. Similarly, if they press tab 3, we are going to show tab 3 content. For that, first I'm going to take a variable in this function where, and the variable name is tab name. This variable going to store the data attribute value equal to, first we are going to use this keyword, this. It's mean the exact tab where user currently click. Then we need to grab the data attribute value of this button. For that, we have another method named dataset. Data set. And then we need to mention the dataset name. And if I show you my dataset name, which is tab. So here I'm going to pass dot tab and semicolon to end this line. So whatever value it stored, it's going to save in tab name variable. And I'm going to pass this value to create this selector. So at first, I'm going to take a variable name where, and our variable name is tab content. And here I'm going to pass document dot get element by ID. Which ID? Which one is stored is tab name variable. So inside the round braces, I'm going to pass the value name, tab name, and semicolon to end this line. So when user target the tab 1, then we need to target the tab 1 content ID. I want to say if user click on tab 1, then we are going to target this tab content ID, which is tab 1. Now, after target the tab content ID, we need to add display block property to this div. So for that, I'm going to type tab content dot style dot display property display, and I want to change the value equal to, I want block, and semicolon to in this line. By default, in our CSS section, we add display property none in our tab content. Let me show you. Here you can see in every tab content we use display property none. So when I reload my browser, contents are not visible in our browser. But whenever user click on any button, I want display property block so that user can see the content related to this tab. And now we need to do one thing. If user click on any button, we need to add active class to this button. And we already styled the active button in our previous tutorial. So here you can see we run a loop for button. So we need to add a class to the particular button. For that, we need to use this keyword. This dot, here we need to use class list method. Class list. Class list dot add function. Inside the round braces, we need to pass the class name, which is active, and semicolon to in this line. So let's save the file. And for now, I'm going to click on tab 2. After click on tab 2, you can see the content related tab 2. Also, it successfully add active class to this tab 2. That's why tab 2 background color become green. Because we style our active class and set background color green. Similarly, if I click on tab 3, also you can see the tab 3 content. At the same time, it open tab 2 and tab 3. And also it add active class in tab 3. But there is a problem. We successfully open our particular tab. But we can't hide the other tab. After open tab 3, tab 2 should be closed. At the same time, it show all the tabs. So we need to hide all the inactive tabs. For that, we need to select all the tabs. So here I want to create a variable. And our variable name is var all tab content. All tab content equal to, here I'm going to target all the tabs. So I'm going to type document dot query selector all, and inside the round braces I'm going to target all the tabs. For that, I'm going to use this class name tab content. So copy the class name tab content and I'm going to paste it here. Dot tab content and semicolon to in this line. So I successfully target all the tabs using the class name tab content. First, I want to hide all the unnecessary active class from the tab. So I'm going to duplicate this line and I'm going to change the variable name all tab button. To select all the buttons, I'm going to use this class name, which is tab link. This is the common class between tabs. So I copy the class name and I'm going to paste it here. Document dot query selector all tab link. So I successfully create two variables. Our first variable store all the tab content and our second variable store all the tab button. So at first I'm going to run a loop for the content and I'm going to run for loop. So here I'm going to type for, inside the round braces I'm going to declare a variable and our variable name is var j assigned with 0. Then according to the content length we need to run a loop. For that we need to set a condition j less than all tab content dot length function and semicolon to end. Also we need to increment the j variable j plus plus. First it run for tab 1, then tab 2, then tab 3. And then inside the loop, it's going to make all the display property none. So I'm going to copy the variable all tab contents. Inside the square braces, I'm going to pass the variable, which is j. And as I told you, query selector all function store value as an array. So it works for particular array item one by one. And I want to make display property none for the particular item. For that, we need to use style method dot style dot display property equal to none and semicolon to end this line. It means it's going to show the particular block according to the active button. So let's save the file and click on, first I'm going to click tab 2. As you can see, it shows tab 2 related content. But if I press tab 3, now you can see it shows only tab 3 related content. So it successfully handled the content part. And now we need to handle the tab portion. And now we need to remove the active class from the unactive tab. So again, we need to use another for loop. So I'm going to duplicate this portion. And we need to follow nearly same process. First, I'm going to change the variable name. Var k. I'm going to replace j with k. And here also we need to replace the variable name. I'm going to replace tab content with tab button because this time I run the loop for the tab button. All tab buttons. And inside the square braces, we need to pass key variable. And to remove the active class, we need to use class list method again. So I'm going to copy class list name and I'm going to paste k dot class list. And here we need to use the opposite function, which is the remove. And I want to remove the active class. So I copy the class name and I'm going to paste it here. And I'm going to save this file. Oops, remove is a function. Here we need to use round braces, not equal to sign. So I cut this active class and paste it inside the round braces. And I'm going to save this file again. So let's click on any tab. So first I'm going to click tab 3. As you can see, tab 3 button is active and also it shows the related content of tab 3. And now I'm going to click on tab 2. So it's worked perfectly. After click tab 2, it shows tab 2 related content. Also it active the tab 2 button and unactive the tab 3 button. So how it's work? So first time it's going to remove all the active class from the tab. After that, here you can see a line, this dot class list dot add active. This line going to add active class to the particular tab where we click currently. That's why you can see the active class style properties. So we successfully create our functional tab. And now I'm going to remove this unnecessary border. So here I'm going to remove this border. Basically I just comment out this line and I'm going to save this file again. But there is another problem. When I reload my browser, first time it do not show any tab content. It is just through a blank page with button. But when user open the website first time, I want to show tab 1 content. I don't want to show blank page. For that, we need to add some line in JavaScript. So after end of this for loop, here we need to target the tab contents. I want to target the first tab link. So here I'm going to type document dot. This time I want to select only particular item. So I'm going to use query selector, not the query selector all. Query selector. Then inside the round braces, here we need to pass the tab links. Basically, it's going to target the first tab link only because here we do not use query selector all. So by default, it's going to choose the first one. And here I'm going to apply click method dot click. This method click the button automatically. So when we reload this page, it automatically click the first button. So let's save the file and see is it work properly or not. So after save this file, first time you can see it automatically active the tab 1 and it show tab 1 content. Then I'm going to press tab 3 and it successfully active the tab 3 and hide the tab 1 content and show the tab 3 content. So I successfully created a tab using CSS, HTML and JavaScript. I hope you like this project. Thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for the next project. Hello guys, good to see you back. Once again I'm back with new exercise related JavaScript, HTML and CSS. And in this tutorial we are going to learn how we can create scroll to top button using JavaScript. As you can see in my screen, I open a HTML page and in my HTML page it's full of text. And also you can see in the right side we have a vertical scroll bar. So whenever I scroll down this bar little bit, here you can see automatically a button appear in right bottom corner. And whenever I scroll up this bar, it automatically hides. So whenever I scroll down too much and I go to back to top, in that case we can press this button. If I press this button, here you can see our scroll bar smoothly back to the top. So this is the usage of scroll to top button. I know you are already familiar with this button. Maybe you've seen this kind of button in a lot of websites. So without wasting your time, let's start the practical and see how we can create it. So as you can see, side by side I open my Visual Studio Code editor and my browser using live server extension. And I already created an HTML document named index.html. If you notice, you can see in my browser, there is no scroll bar. It's completely empty. So at first, I'm going to take a paragraph in my body tag. So I'm going to use p tag. And inside this paragraph, I'm going to use dummy text. So I'm going to type lorem 1500 character. After set this file, you can see all the text in my browser. And now I want to display a button in that position at bottom right corner. And after press this button, it's going to scroll up the browser page. For that, I'm going to take a button tag after paragraph. So after paragraph, here I'm going to type button. Also, I'm going to assign an ID to this button. ID scroll to top. And inside this button, I'm going to type go top. And I'm going to save this file. After save this file, if I scroll down my browser, here you can see the button go top. And now we need to style this button. For that, we need to use CSS. So inside the head tag, here I'm going to use style tag. Style. So here I'm going to style this button using this ID. So I'm going to copy the ID name and I'm going to type hashtag the ID. And inside the curly braces, I'm going to use a property named color. And here I'm going to pass white color. White. This color property is used for font color. Our next property is background. Background. And I want red color. Red. Our third property is padding. Padding. And I want padding 10 pixels from every direction. 10 pixels. And now I want to fix this button at bottom place. I want to fix it right bottom corner. For that, I'm going to use position property. Position fixed. And from bottom, I'm going to take 10 pixels. And from right side, also I'm going to take 10 pixels. Also I want when user hover the cursor on this button, I want cursor pointer. So I'm going to use another property named cursor. Cursor pointer. Now let's save the file and see is it work properly or not. After save this file, you can see the result in my browser. At right bottom corner, you can see the button go top. And also you can see the position is fixed. I think I need to move this button upside little bit. So from bottom, I'm going to take 30 pixels. After save this file, you can see the result. Now it perfectly placed. And now I don't want to show go top button first time. When user scroll down the page little bit, then I want to show this button. I want to say when user scroll this page 300 pixel downside, then I want to show this button. For that, I want to use display property. Display none. After save this file, as you can see, we successfully hide the button. And now we need to start the JavaScript. So after the button tag, here I'm going to take script tag. Script. At first, we need to add an event to this window. At first, we need to grab the y-axis position of the scroll bar. So here we need to use scroll event. So I'm going to type window dot add event listener. Inside the round braces, inside the single quotes, the event name. And the event name is scroll. So when user scroll the scroll bar, then I want to run an anonymous function. So comma, I'm going to type function. Also you can take arrow function here. So I would like to go with arrow function. After round braces, I'm going to use arrow sign. And now we need to grab the scroll value. For that, we need to use a method which is page y offset. So before I use it, I'm going to show in my console. So here I'm going to type console dot log inside the round braces window dot page y offset. And semicolon to end this line. After save this file, if I show you my console section in my browser, now you can see it written a value which is 221. The value is showing that how much we already scrolling the page. If I move the scroll bar upward, now you can see it's written 0. And if I move the scroll bar downward, now you can see the value. It now it's written 746. If you are familiar with JavaScript DOM, then you know how it's works. And now I want, when user cross the 300 value, then I want to show the button at this position. For that, we need to use the same method with if condition. So I want to remove console.log and I'm going to replace with if statement. If window.page.yoffset greater than 300, then inside the if condition, I want to show this button. For that, first we need to target this button. So inside this script tag, I'm going to take a variable and I'm going to declare the variable with const keyword. Const, and our variable name is scroll button. Scroll button. Scroll button equal to document dot query selector. Inside the round braces, I'm going to target this button using the ID. So I copy the ID name and here I'm going to paste it. Hashtag scroll to top and semicolon to end this line. So I'm going to target this button using this variable. So inside the curly braces, I'm going to type. So I'm going to type scroll button dot. I'm going to use style method. Style dot display equal to inside the double quotes block and semicolon to end this line. So whenever the page scroll down 300 pixels at y-axis direction, then it's going to set display property block to this button. And also, if it less than 300 pixels, then I want to hide this button. So in the else part, else inside the curly braces, I'm going to use this statement. Scroll btn.style.display equal to none. So if the value is more than 300, then it's going to show the button. And if the condition is not true, then it's going to hide the button. So let's save the file and see is it work properly or not. So after save this file, you can see the button. But if I scroll up this page, then what happened? As you can see, when the value is less than 300, then our program hide this button. And now I want when user click this button, then automatically our scroll bar move upward. For that, first we need to add click event to this button. So again, I'm going to use add event listener to this variable, mean scroll button. So I'm going to type scroll button dot add event listener, and I want to add click event. Click. After use click event, I want to call an anonymous function, and here I'm going to use arrow function. Then inside the curly braces, here I'm going to scroll this window. So whenever user click this button, I want to move this scroll bar upward. For that, I'm going to use a method named scroll2. So I'm going to type window.scroll2. Then inside the round braces and inside the curly braces, here we need to mention how much I want to scroll this page. So here I'm going to pass top value 0, top colon 0. And if you want to add transition to this movement, yes, you can. But before I'm going to save this file and I'm going to press go top button. When I press go top button, as you can see, instantly our scroll bar moved to the 0th position. But there is no smoothness to this transition. For that, we need to use another property, and the property name is behavior. Behavior inside the double quotes, and here I need to use smooth value, smooth. So let's save the file and see the result. After save this file, I'm going to move the scroll bar downward. Now you can see go top button. And if I click this button, now you can see the transition. Our scroll bar moved to the 0 position, and also it added a beautiful transition. So we successfully create this exercise. First we insert scroll event to this window, and we set a condition. If the y-offset value greater than 300, then show display property block. And if the condition is not true, then show display property none. And then we add click event to this button. So whenever user click this button, it scroll the window and stop to the defined position, in our case top 0. And also we add behavior for transition, which is smooth. So this is it for this tutorial. Stay tuned for the next tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks for watching this video. Hello guys, good to see you back. Once again I'm back with a new tutorial related JavaScript, HTML and CSS. And today in this tutorial we are going to create sticky header. So here you can see a file in my web browser and it's full with some content. Here you can see a div with text sticky header. And before this div we have some paragraph, and after this div we have another paragraph. And whenever I scroll my page, as you can see, this header div stick to the top. I want to say this div fixed to the top. And also it increase the width and add a little box shadow. At the opposite way, if I scroll up this section, now you can see width is dropped by 20%. So this is the example of sticky header. So let's start the practical and see how we can create it. So as you can see, side by side I open my Visual Studio Code editor and my browser using live server extension. And I already created an HTML document named index.html. At first, I'm going to add a paragraph in our body tag. So here I'm going to type P, and inside this body tag and inside this paragraph tag I'm going to add lorem 2000. After save this file, as you can see, it add dummy paragraph in our browser. Then after paragraph tag I'm going to add a div tag, div, and also I'm going to assign an ID to this div tag. ID equal to header, and inside this div tag I'm going to type sticky header. Now let's style this page. So inside the head tag I'm going to use style tag, style, and inside the style tag first I'm going to style the body tag, body. Inside the curly braces our first property name is font family. I want to change the font family, and I'm going to use Arial font. Our next property is margin. I don't want to set any margin, so I'm going to pass margin 0, and I want to set this file. And now I want to add little padding to this paragraph. For that I'm going to select P tag, paragraph tag, inside the curly braces padding 0. From top and bottom, I want to set padding 0. And from left and right, I'm going to set padding 15 pixel. And I'm going to set this file. And now, I'm going to style the header div. This section, sticky header. For that, I'm going to select the ID, hashtag header. Then inside the curly braces, our first property name is background, and I want red color background, and I'm going to save this file. And now I align this text center of this div. For that, here I need to use another property which is text align, center. With that I want to increase the font size in 20 pixel, and then I'm going to change the font width bold. I want to use bold font, and also I'm going to assign height to this sticky header. So type height 50 pixel, width 80%. And now I want to center this div. For that I'm going to use margin property. Margin from top and bottom I'm going to use 0 value, and from left and right I'm going to use auto value. It's going to align this container middle of this page. After set this file, you can see the result. And now I want, when I scroll this page, I want to stop this sticky header portion top of this page. For now, as you can see, we don't have any content below the sticky header div. So we need to add some dummy content for this example. So I'm going to add another paragraph after this div, P tag. And in this paragraph, I'm going to use nearly 1500 word, lorem 1500. After save this file, and now we can scroll this page, also sticky header. So whenever I scroll my browser or sticky header div section, do not stick into the top position. I want to stick this header portion top of this page. I want to fix it at top position. For that, we need to use JavaScript. So here I'm going to use script tag. script. Then inside the script tag, at first we need to get y-axis value of sticky header div. And I want to calculate the y-axis position from the top. So at first we need to select this sticky header div. So I'm going to type const and I want to declare a variable, and our variable name is header. Header equal to document dot query selector. Inside the round braces, inside the double quotes, I'm going to select the div using its ID, hashtag header. Then semicolon to end this line. So I successfully target the header. Then I'm going to take another variable, const, and our variable name is sticky, and I'm going to use short form stk. And this variable is going to store offset top value. So here I'm going to type header dot offset top and semicolon to end this line. Now let's print the variable in our console and see what value we get. So I'm going to type console dot log inside the round braces, and the value is sticky. I'm going to call sticky variable and semicolon to end this line. If I save this file and show you my console section, inspect console, now you can see the value. It's written 4118. From the top, our sticky header distance is 4118. And now I want to get y offset value when user scroll the page. For that, I'm going to use window object. Window dot add event listener. Then inside the round braces, and here I want to call an event named scroll. So inside the single quote, I'm going to type scroll, comma, and also I want to call an anonymous function. And here I'm going to use arrow function, parenthesis, arrow operator. And here I want to extract the scroll y offset value. So at first I'm going to print in my console dot log inside the round braces window dot page y offset value. Sorry, y offset, not x offset. So if I save this file and show you my console, now you can see our user already scrolled 3909. If I scroll up little bit, as you can see, the value is reducing. Now it's print 3709. And now we need to set a condition. If the y offset value is greater than stk variable, means sticky variable, then stop this sticky header bar at that position. I want to say if the condition written true, then fix the sticky header bar at that position. So first I'm going to remove console.log, and here I'm going to set if condition. If window dot page y offset is greater than stk variable, then inside the curly braces, first we need to target this header, and I already targeted. So I'm going to use this variable name header, and I want to add a class to this header div. So I'm going to use another method named classList dot, and we already familiar with this method, class list, and I want to add a class, and the class name is sticky. So I'm going to use add function, add inside the round braces, inside the single quote, our class name. Then semicolon to end this line. And in the else part, we need to remove the class name if the condition is not true. So in else condition, else inside the curly braces, and here I'm going to use the same line. So I copy this portion and I'm going to paste it here. This time I want to remove this sticky class. So I'm going to use remove function. So I'm going to replace add with remove. So when user scroll this page, it's going to check the offset value. If the offset value is greater than this header, then our condition going to add a class to this div, and our class name is sticky. And if the condition is not true, then also it's going to remove our class from the header div. And now we need to style this class in our CSS. So let's back to the style section. And here I'm going to type dot sticky, and inside the curly braces, so at first I'm going to use a property named position. Position fixed. Our next property is top. top value from top, I'm going to use 0. With that, I want to extend the width of this div with 100%. With that, let's use some box shadow. So I'm going to type box shadow. Box shadow, from x-axis direction, I'm going to pass 0 pixel. From y-axis direction, I'm going to take 2 pixel. Also, I want to blur this box shadow. So I'm going to pass 4 pixel. And our box shadow color is gray. So let's set the file and scroll the page. So let's scroll the page. Hey, it's work, but not perfectly. Because we need to select the sticky class with the header ID. So I'm going to copy the header ID. It means if our header have the sticky class, then apply this CSS. Let's save the file and scroll the browser again. After scroll the browser, as you can see, now it's work perfectly. First, it stick our header top of this position, then it's extend the width of this header section. Now it completely 100%. But before, it's 80%. And also, it adds some little box shadow below. Now, let's open the element section to clear it. Here you can see in the sticky header div, it assign a class named sticky. But whenever the condition is fails, it remove the class name. Again, if the condition is true, it add sticky class. And if the condition is fail, then it remove the class name. So this is how we can create sticky header using JavaScript. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for the next example. Hello guys, good to see you back. Once again, I'm back with a new project related JavaScript, HTML and CSS. And in this tutorial, we are going to create side menu. How we can create side menu using JavaScript. Here you can see in this page, in our header section at left top corner, we have a button named menu. If we click this button, you can see the side menu bar. And if we click this button again, it hides the side menu bar. And also you can see we add a little animation to this menu bar. So let's see how we can create this side menu. So without wasting our time, let's start the practical. So as you can see, side by side, I open my Visual Studio Code editor and my browser using Live Server extension, and I already created an HTML document named index.html. And as you know, today in this project, we are going to create JavaScript side menu. So let's start it. So at first, inside the body tag, I'm going to take in div. And our div ID is menu. So I'm going to type div and I'm going to assign an ID. ID menu. Then inside this div, I'm going to take a button and an unordered list. So here I'm going to assign a button. With that, I'm going to assign an ID to this button. Hashtag and our ID name is menu toggle. And inside this button, I'm going to type a text and our text is menu. And before the menu text, I want to show a hamburger icon. For that, I'm going to use a code. Here I'm going to use an HTML entity code to show the menu icon. So here I'm going to type $sign, hashtag sign, and the code is 79776 and then semicolon to end the line. This is HTML entity codes. If you are not familiar with that, you can search it in Google. So let's save the file and see if it worked or not. After save this file, you can see the result. We successfully create menu button with icon. And now I'm going to take a unordered list. UL, and also I'm going to assign an ID to this unordered list. And the ID is menu list. And inside this menu list, I'm going to take 3 unordered lists. Li multiply with 3. And inside the unordered list, I'm going to take an anchor tag. So I'm going to type A. If I press enter, as you can see, here you can see we have 3 li lists with anchor tag. By default, Visual Studio Code Editor come with Amit, so I use this shortcut. And if your code editor not support Amit, in that case you need to type it manually. And inside this code editor, I'm going to add some dummy text. Item 1. And I'm going to copy this one. And here I'm going to type item 2. And also I'm going to type item 3. And I'm going to save this file. And now we need to style this menu. So inside the head tag, here I'm going to use style tag. Inside the style tag, at first I'm going to select the whole body. So I'm going to type body tag, body. And inside the curly braces, first I'm going to assign a basic font to all of this page. Font, family, and I'm going to use Arial. Then I'm going to use another property which is margin. I want to finish all the margin. Margin 0. And now we need to style the menu div. Hashtag menu. And inside the curly braces, first I'm going to assign background color. Background, and I'm going to use red color background. Red. And also I'm going to assign width to this div. Width 100%. Also I'm going to assign height. Height 35 pixel. Our next property is position. Position fixed. As you know, we are creating side menu. That's why we need fixed menu bar. And also we need to mention the fixed position. So I'm going to type top 0. And now I'm going to set this file. After set this file, now you can see the menu. If you notice, you can see our menu is not vertically centered. So I'm going to add another property to make it vertically centered. And our property name is line height. Line height. Line height. Also I'm going to add 35 pixel. If I set this file, now you can see our menu is vertically centered. And now I'm going to style this menu list. So I copy the ID name menu list and I'm going to select this one. Hashtag menu list. Then inside the curly braces, here I'm going to assign margin from the left side. So I'm going to type margin left and I'm going to pass 10 pixel and I'm going to set this file. And now we need to style the menu, toggle menu. So to copy the ID name menu toggle and I'm going to select hashtag menu toggle. And inside the curly braces, here I'm going to use margin left. Margin left 10 pixel. If I set this file, as you can see, it provides little margin. It adds little margin to our menu button from the left side. And now we need to style the unordered list. For that we need to select this ID, which is menu list. So I copy the ID name menu list and I'm going to select in our style section menu list. And inside the curly braces, for this menu list I'm going to use a transparent background color. So I'm going to use background property, background. And to make it transparent, we need to use alpha value. So I'm going to type RGBA value, RGBA. So I'm going to use red value 4 and green value 53, blue value 151. And for transparency, I'm going to use alpha value 0.95. If I set this file, you can see the result. And now we need to assign width and height to this menu list. Width, and I'm going to pass 250 pixel. Our next property is height. Height 100 VH. This value going to use 100% viewport height. VH stand for viewport height. And now we need to remove dot sign from this unordered list. For that, we need to use a property. And our property name is list style. List style. List style none. If I set this file, you can see the result. And also I'm going to use padding and margin 0. Padding 0. Also margin 0. And I'm going to set this file. And now we need to change the anchor tag text color. We need to make it white and also we need to remove the underline. For that, we need to target anchor tags from the menu list. So here I'm going to type menu list. Then we need to select all the anchor tag A, and inside the curly braces, first I want to use white font color. Color white, and I want to save this file. And if you want to remove the underline, for that you need to use another property, which is text decoration. Text decoration none. And now I want little padding from the left side of this item. With that, I want to divide the link with underline, means border. For that, we need to style the li tag. So inside the menu list, I'm going to type hashtag menu list, all the li inside the menu list. Then at first I'm going to add some padding. Padding 20 pixel. Sorry, I don't want to keep padding from whole direction. I want to keep padding from left side. So I'm going to type padding dash left. Padding left 20 pixel. And for divider, I'm going to use border bottom property. Border bottom. Border bottom 1 pixel. And I want solid border. And the border color is white. If I save this file, you can see the result. And now we need to animate this menu. Whenever I click this menu icon, then I want to show the menu. With the same time, if I click the menu icon again, then I want to hide this menu. So for that, I'm going to use animation. Slide in animation and slide out animation. For that, we need to add active class to this menu button. First time, if I click this menu button, it's going to add active class. Second time, if I click this menu button, it's going to remove the active class. For that, we need to use JavaScript. So in the next part of this tutorial, we are going to use JavaScript. Thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for the next part. Good to see you back, guys. This is the second part of this tutorial. And in this part, we are going to animate this button. I want to show this side menu when I first time click on menu icon. And also hide the side menu if I click on it again. And here I want to use slide in and slide out animation. For that, we need to use active class in this section. We need to insert active class on UL tag. First time, it's going to add the active class, and second time, it's going to remove the active class. And as you know, for that, we need to use JavaScript. So after div tag, I'm going to take script tag. Inside the script tag, first I want to target this button, because we need to apply the click event to this button. For that, I'm going to create a variable, and I'm going to declare this variable using const keyword. Const, and our variable name is menu toggle. Menu toggle equal to, here I want to target this button. For that, we need to type document dot query selector. Inside the single quote, we need to pass the ID. So to copy the ID name, menu toggle, hashtag menu toggle, and semicolon to end this line. With that, also we need to create selector for UL tag, because we need to hide and show the unordered list. So basically, I'm going to duplicate this line, and I'm going to change the variable name, menu list, document.querySelector, and here I'm going to pass this ID, menu list. So here we successfully select the button and the list. And then we need to add a method to this button, which is addEventListener. And using it, I want to call clickEvent. So here I'm going to type menu toggle dot addEventListener. Here I'm going to call clickEvent. So I'm going to type click. Then I'm going to call an anonymous function, and here I'm going to use arrow function, parenthesis, arrow operator. Then inside the curly braces, in this unordered list, I want to add a active class. So for that, here we need to use this variable, menu list. Menu list dot, to add a class, we need to use class list method. Class list dot, this time I'm going to use toggle function. Now the question is, what is the usage of toggle function? This method works like a toggle switch. If I click it first time, it's going to add the class, and if I click it second time, it's going to remove the class. So inside the round braces, we need to provide the class name, and our class name is active. Now let's set the file and open the console section. Inspect elements, and I'm going to select this button, menu. Here you can see in our menu list, there is a class. If I click this menu button first time, it's going to add a class named active. And if I click this menu button second time, it's going to remove the class. So this is the usage of toggle function. And now it's time to style the active class. So copy the class named active, and I'm going back to the style section. Then inside the style tag, I'm going to select this class named active. Here we need to create selector like this. When in our menu list we add active class, then I want to style this active class. So this style is for when we add the active class. And also we need to create the selector for when we remove the active class. So I'm going to duplicate this section, and here I'm going to use menu list, and I'm going to use procedure class :not. Then inside the round braces, I'm going to pass the class name, which is active. So here we create two different selector: menu list with active class and menu list with not active class. And now we need to animate this menu section. For that, I'm going to create two different animation. So here I'm going to take keyframes @keyframes, and our animation name is slide in. Then inside the curly braces, at the starting of this animation, so 0%, inside the curly braces, here I'm going to use transform property. Transform translate x. At 0th position, I want to remove the whole menu out of this page. For that, here I'm going to use -100%. So we mention the starting position of this animation. Now we need to mention the end position. So at 100%, I want translate x direction 0. It's mean the default position. With that, we need to create another keyframe to hide this menu list. So again, I'm going to select this section and duplicate it. And this time our animation name is slide out. And then I'm going to just reverse the value. -100%, and for starting, I want to set 0%. And I'm going to save this file. Our first animation is to show the menu section, and our second animation is hide the menu section. I'm going to use this animation inside these selectors. So when we use active class, I want to call this animation slide in. So I copy the animation name, and here I'm going to use animation property. Our animation name is slide in, and then we need to mention the animation duration. I want to run this animation for 0.3 seconds. Next we need to set the animation mode, which is ease in out. So when we use active class, I want to run this animation. So similarly, we need to do the same thing for not active class. So I copy this line, and inside the curly braces, I'm going to paste it here. And here I'm going to remove the animation name, slide in, and I'm going to replace it with slide out animation. Slide out. At last, we need to mention animation field mode, which is forward. If we use forward value, after complete the animation, it's not going to back to the start position. So now, let's save the file and see is it work properly or not. After save this file, as you can see, it hides the menu section. It means active class is not included in unordered list. So if I click this menu icon again, now it's going to add the active class. Let me show you. As you can see the animation, it means it add the active class successfully. Using toggle function, first time it add active class and then it remove the active class. Slide in, slide out, slide in, slide out. Now you can add content in your website. So let's add some content after this div tag. So after menu section, I'm going to add a paragraph, P, and I want to add nearly 2000 word of paragraph. Lorem 2000. After save this file, here you can see the result. Here you can see a lot of text content in this page. And if I click this menu icon, you can see the result. So this is it for this tutorial. Thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for our next tutorial. Hello guys, good to see you back. Once again I'm back with new project related HTML, CSS and JavaScript. And today in this project we are going to create a slider. How we can create slider? As you can see on your screen, we create a very basic slider. If I press next button, as you can see it changes the image with little animation. If I click next button again, you can see the next image. Similarly, if I press previous button, you can see the previous image with animation. But if I click next button and this is our last image. Then again I click next button, as you can see it is back to the first image. Similarly, from the first image, if I press previous button, now you can see it is back to the last image. This is a very normal and basic slider, but it can give you the idea how we can create beautiful sliders. So without wasting your time, let's start the practical. So as you can see, side by side, I open my Visual Studio Code editor and my browser using Live Server extension, and I already created an HTML document named index.html. With that, you can see in my current working directory, we have total 3 images: 01.jpg, 02.jpg and 03.jpg. So at first, we need to create a container inside the body tag. And to this container, I'm going to assign a class, and our class name is slider container. div.slider dash container. And inside this container, I'm going to assign another div. And in this div, I'm going to assign a class named slider. div.slider. And now I'm going to import images. For that, I'm going to use div tag, not the image tag. So type div dot and the class name is slide. And here I'm going to use style property to import the image. Style tag, and inside this inline style tag, I'm going to use a property named background. Background, and here I'm going to provide a URL. And inside the round braces, I'm going to provide the image link, which is 01.jpg. At the same way, we need to import to other image. For that, I'm going to duplicate this section 2 times. And this is image number 2. And last one is image number 3. For 3 images, we create 3 different div tags. And now we need to take 2 navigation buttons to control the slider. For that, outside the slider, here I'm going to take another div tag. Div dot, and I'm going to take class name slider control. And inside the slider control, I'm going to take 2 buttons. At the first button, I'm going to type previous, pre. And in the second button, I'm going to type next. And also, we are going to assign class name to these buttons. In the first button, I'm going to assign class previous slide, prev-slide, slide. And at the second button, I'm going to assign next-slide. As I told you, I'm going to create a simple slider. So we done our HTML part. Now, we need to jump into the style section. So inside the head tag, I'm going to use style tag. Style, but before I start our styling, I'm going to save the file. After save the file, as you can see in my browser, we'll have only 2 buttons, previous button and next button. But if you notice, you can see you can't see any images in our browser, because here we use background property to display images, but we do not assign any height and width. That's why we cannot see the background image. When we style the slide, then you can see the background image. So at first, we are going to style the slider container. So I copy the class name slider container, then I'm going back to style section. Dot slider container, inside the curly braces, first I'm going to assign width to this container. Width, and here I'm going to take 800 pixel. And for width, you can take your own width. It is not mandatory. And also I'm going to take a border to this container. Border 1 pixel. And I want solid border. And I want black background color 000. After that, we need to style this container slider. So copy the class name, and here I'm going to select dot slider, and inside the curly braces, and here I'm going to use display property, display, and I want flex because I want all the images inside this slider container horizontally. I want to place all the images in a single horizontal line. And now we need to style the slide section. So I copy the class name slide, and I'm going to select dot slide, and inside the curly braces, here I'm going to use flex property, flex, and using flex property I'm going to assign width to this slide. At first I'm going to assign shrink and grow value. Shrink value 0, grow value also 0, and basis value 100%. And also I'm going to take slide height nearly 400 pixels. And for all the images, I'm going to set background size cover. Background size cover. And also we need to mention the background position. Background position, and I want to position it center. So let's save the file and see what it returned. Here you can see in my browser, it successfully horizontally aligned our images. Because we use display flex property, that's why it horizontally aligned the images. And next, we need to style the controls. For that, we need to select this class, slider controls. So I copy the class name slider controls, and inside the style tag, I'm going to select this one. And inside the curly braces, I want to place this control center of this image. For that, I'm going to use position property, position absolute. And from bottom, I'm going to take 20 pixels. And from the left side, I'm going to provide 50%. So as you can see, we use absolute value, and we want to place this navigation button inside the slider container. That's why we need to provide position value to this slider container. So here I'm going to use another property named position. Position relative. So if I save this file, as you can see, it places the navigation button above the image. And now I want little gap between these two buttons. For that, we need to style the previous slide and next slide button. So I copy the class name, previous slide, and here I'm going to select the class. Dot previous slide, comma, next slide. Then inside the curly braces, here I'm going to use margin property. Margin. From top and bottom, I'm going to take 0. And from left and right, I'm going to take 10 pixels. So if I save this file, as you can see, it provides little gap between two buttons. And if you want to place this navigation button left and right, yes, you can. Now, let's reduce the width of this parent container to adjust this image. So I'm going to make it 750. After save this file, now you can see, now our image perfectly adjusts in our container. Also you can notice our buttons are not perfectly aligned. So here we need to use transform property. Transform, and I'm going to use translate x value. Translate x. Translate x minus 50%. If I set this file, now you can see we perfectly align our navigation button. With that, in case our images overflow to this border, then we need to hidden the overflow image. For that, we need to use overflow property. Overflow hidden. And we need to save it. And I'm going to save this file. So as you can see, after we set overflow hidden property in slider container, now two other images are not visible in this container, because I don't want to show any content outside this border. That's why I use overflow property hidden. Now you might think our slider quite ready, but it is not. It's ready, but it is not, because here we need to use JavaScript. When I click the next button, I want to show the next image. Similarly, when I click the previous button, I want to show the previous image. So whenever I click on next button, I want to add active class dynamically to the next image. And using the active class, we are going to perform the animation. We are going to perform the slide animation. So before we start the JavaScript, let's style the active class. Dynamically, I want to add the active class in these slides. So whenever we open our page, by default, I want to add the active class in our first image, means first slide. So here I'm going to add the active class manually. Active. Then inside this style tag, after slide, if the slide with active class, then inside the curly braces, and here I'm going to use transform property, transform. And this transform property slide the image. So I'm going to type translate x value 0. So if any slide with active class, then I want to apply transform property translate 0. It's mean automatically it's going to show the image inside this container. So we successfully done our CSS part. At the next part of this tutorial, we are going to start JavaScript. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned. So as you can see, once again I open my Visual Studio Code editor and my browser using Live Server extension. And I open my previous document index.html. And as you know, in this project we are going to create a slider. Dynamically, we need to put active class on these images when we click next button, otherwise previous button. For that, we need to use JavaScript. So outside the div tag, I'm going to take script tag. And inside the script tag, first we need to target slider, then buttons, slides, etc. So at first, inside the script tag, I'm going to target this slider. For that, I'm going to take a variable, const, and our variable name is slider. Slider equal to document dot query selector inside the round braces, inside the double quotes, dot slider. Then semicolon to end this line. Next, we need to target all these slides. For that, I'm going to duplicate this line, and first I'm going to change the variable name slider to slide. And here we need to use another function, not query selector. Here we need to use query selector all. Query selector all inside the round braces, slides. Now again, I'm going to duplicate this statement because we need to select these buttons. At first, I'm going to select previous button. So I'm going to take variable name prev button btn. And for that, here I'm going to use query selector. So I'm going to remove all from the query selector. And here I need to pass the class name, which is previous slide. Similarly, for next button, we need to create another selector. Here I'm going to type next button. Document.querySelector next slide. So we successfully target the element and store it in these variables: slider, slide, next button, previous button. And next, we need to create a variable for index number. Here you can see we have total 3 slides. And by default, we set active class in our slide 1. When user click next button, I want to add active class slide number 2 and remove active class from slide number 1. For that, we need index number of 3 of this div tag. Our first index would be 0, then 1, then 2. So at first, I'm going to take a variable, and for this variable, I'm going to use let, because we need to use it later. Let, and our variable name is slide index. I'm going to use capital I. And here I'm going to set a default value to 0. So whenever we load the page, our value should 0. And then when I load the page, I want active class in our first slide. Here we add active class manually, but I want to add active class with JavaScript. So for slides, here we take a variable, and the variable name is slide. So I copy the variable name slide, and here I'm going to paste it, slides inside the square braces because it's an array. It stores all the div elements. And inside the square braces, here I'm going to pass our first slide. And our first slide is slide index, means 0. Then I want to add CSS class to this slide. For that, we need to use class list method dot class list. Inside the round braces, class list dot add function. Then inside the round braces, I'm going to pass the class name, and our class name is active. It means whenever we load the page, it's going to provide slide index value at that position. By default, it's 0. Then it's going to add active class to the particular slide. And next, we need to add two events, two of this button, previous button and next button. I want to add click event. For that, here I'm going to use add event listener method. At first, I want to add event on previous button. Previous button dot add event listener. Then inside the round braces, I want to add click event, click. And then I want to call a function. I'm not going to call anonymous function. Here I'm going to call a function name previous slide. And I'm going to create this function outside of this event. Similarly, I want to add event for our next button. So I duplicate this line and I want to replace next button dot add event listener click method. And I'm going to call a function name next slide. And next, we need to create both the function. So first I'm going to create function for previous slide. Function, our function name is previous slide. Similarly, I'm going to create function for next slide. So I duplicate this section and I'm going to type next slide. So at first, I'm going to work on next slide function. Inside the next slide function, first I want to remove active class from the current slide. For that, I'm going to use this same statement. So I copy this statement and I'm going to paste it inside the next slide function. And here I'm going to use remove method. Remove. So we remove active class from the current slide because we need to put the active class on the next slide. So for the next slide, we need to change this variable value. So here we need to change this slide index value. So I'm going to use this same variable, slide index. And here I'm going to paste it. Slide index equal to, here we need to increment this value with 1. So if I type slide index plus 1 and then run this code, it's not going to work. Yes, this process can increment the value of the slide. But here you can see we have total 3 slides. After slide 2, we don't have any slide. But this method continuously going to increase the value if we click next button. But I want to back to the first slide after complete the third slide. For that, here I need to use ternary function. So here I'm going to use ternary operator. So inside the round braces, here we need to check. Here we need to check this slide index is last one or not. So how we can check it? So at first, here we need to pass slide index identical with slides dot length. We'll have total 3 slides. That's why slide dot length function going to return 3. But the problem is our index start from 0. That's why it's going to return 0, 1, 2. But length function going to count from 1, 1, 2, 3. So here we need to minus 1 value, minus 1. If the condition match, then we need to move 0 number index. It means first slide. So here I'm going to pass 0. But before, here we need to use question mark because we use ternary operator. And then after semicolon, if the condition is not matched, then I want to increment slide index value. So here I will type slide index plus 1. We do not use if condition here. Here we use ternary operator. So inside the round braces, we check a condition. If slide index identical with slide length, then back to the 0 index. Otherwise, increment the slide index. It means if the current index value is last one, then it's going back to the first slide. And if it is not, then increment the slide index value. And now we get the new slide index. So we need to add class to this slide index. So I'm going to copy this statement and I'm going to paste it here. This statement going to put active class to the next button. But the active class doesn't show the image. For that, here we need to use animation. So here we need to move the main slider using transform property. So here I'm going to target the slider, and I'm going to use style property, style method, style dot transform equal to, I'm going to move the slider using translate x value, but here I'm going to use template string. So I'm going to take backticks, and here I'm going to use translate x value, translate x. Then inside the round braces, I'm going to take minus value, minus, and I'm going to take $sign, and inside the curly braces, if you are familiar with template string, then you know the process. For that, you should have knowledge of ES6 and later versions. And here, I'm going to perform some little calculation. So inside the curly braces, I'm going to type slide index multiply with 100, and outside the curly braces, I'm going to use %sign. So here we successfully create the next slide function. At first, I remove active class from the current slide. Then we increment the value of slide index. And by default, slide index value is 0. And here we use ternary operator to create the condition. First we check the next value is the end value or not. First we set a condition. If the next value is the last slide, then back to the 0th position. It means 0 index. And if it is not the last value, then increment the slide index value with 1. And then we add active class to the next slide. And at last, we transform the slider using translate x value. And here you can see, here we do some little calculation. If slide index value is 0, then it's going to return 0, minus 0. But if slide index value is 1, then it's going to return minus 100%. If 2, then 200%. Then it's going to move the slide at minus x-axis direction 200%. So let's save the file and check it, is it work properly or not. After save the file, I'm going to click next button. So whenever I click next button, as you can see, it's changed the slide. And again I click the next button, you can see the different image. But if I click next button once again, as you can see, it's back to the first image. Because now it's matched with this condition. That's why it's returned to the first image. But there is a problem. Our animation is not working. For that, we need to go back to the style section and we need to style the slider. As you can see, here we use display property flex and basically we move the whole slider. For that, we need to use transition property. Transition transform. And transition duration is 0.5 seconds. And our transition timing function is in out. And I'm going to save this file. Then I back to my browser and again I'm going to click next button. So whenever I click next button, now you can see the animation. Now our animation worked perfectly. And now we need to work on our last button, previous button. So let's back to the JavaScript section. And from here, I'm going to copy all the code inside the next slide function. Then I'm going to paste it inside the previous function. Now, basically we need to change the condition only, nothing else. Here we need to set If slide index identical with our first index means 0, then go back to the last index. So here I'm going to type slide index dot length function, and with length function I want to minus 1. Now the question is, why I set this condition? Our side index length is 3 because we have total 3 slides, but our index start with 0, 0, 1, 2. That's why we need to minus 1. To get the last index, we need to minus 1 from the index length. And if the condition is that match, then we need to minus 1 from slide index. Here we need to decrement the value because we are going previous. Then everything remains same. So let's set the file and check is it work properly or not. So first I'm going to click next button. This is our first slide and this is our second slide. So if I click previous button and now I'm going to press previous button. After press previous button, as you can see, it's worked perfectly. And this is our first image. So if I press previous button again, as you can see, hey, previous button is not working now. Also the next button. I think I did some mistake. I did a silly mistake. Here we need to count the slide length, not the slide index length. So I'm going to remove index, slide dot length function. And again, I'm going to save this file. After save this file, if I click previous button, now you can see it's working. Our next button and previous button also work perfectly. So we already done. And if you want to remove the border, yes, you can. Just you need to remove the border property. Just comment out this line and save this file. And also if you want to place this button right and left, yes, you can. For that, you can use display flex property. Let me show you. So I need to go back, slider controls. And here, I'm going to use display property. Display flex. And then I want to set width to this container. Width 100%. Also, we need to use another property named justify content. So here I'm going to type justify content and I'm going to use space between. If I save this file, you can see the result. So I successfully placed previous button and next button right and left. And if you want to place this button at that position, for that, you need to use bottom value with percentage. 50%. If I save this file, you can see the result. So we successfully create a slider and learn how we can create a normal slider. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for the next project. Hello guys, good to see you back. Once again, I'm back with another project related JavaScript HTML CSS. And in this project, we are going to create confirm box. As you can see in my browser, we have total 2 buttons, confirm box and old confirm box. If I click on old confirm box, this is the default confirm box provided by JavaScript. Here you can see we have total 2 buttons. If I press OK button, then it's going to perform according to this button. And if I press cancel, then it's going to perform other function. So let's click on OK button. After press OK button, as you can see it print, you pressed OK. So this is the basic confirm box provided by JavaScript. But today, we are going to create our own confirm box. We cannot style our old confirm box. We cannot change the font color, button style, confirm box size, etc. But in our new confirm box, we can do anything. We can style our confirm box, we can change button size, button color, etc. Let me show you. So if we click on this button, confirm box, here you can see a confirm box with transparent background overlay. It is a custom confirm box. You can display your message and also you can place your button. And you can set how much button you want. And if you want to place 4 or 5 buttons, yes, you can. You can style your font, change the background. Also, you can add cross sign in this corner. This is completely up to you. So this is the confirm box that I'm going to cover in this tutorial. But before we start the practical, I want to tell something. Here you can see a transparent div. And inside this transparent div, we have a confirm box. It means we have another div. So we are going to call this black outer layer div confirm box. And we are going to call this white div message box. So First, we are going to create this black confirm box, and then we are going to put this message box inside this confirm box. Then, inside this message box, I'm going to put this text and our buttons. So without wasting your time, let's start the practical. Hello guys, good to see you back. Once again, I'm back with another project related JavaScript HTML CSS. And in this project, we are going to create confirm box. As you can see in my browser, we have total two buttons, confirm box and old confirm box. If I click on old confirm box, this is the default confirm box provided by JavaScript. Here you can see we have total two buttons. If I press OK button, then it's going to perform according to this button. And if I press cancel, then it's going to perform other function. So let's click on OK button. After press OK button, as you can see it print, you pressed OK. So this is the basic confirm box provided by JavaScript. But today, we are going to create our own confirm box. We cannot style our old confirm box. We cannot change the font color, button style, confirm box size, etc. But in our new confirm box, we can do anything. We can style our confirm box, we can change button size, button color, etc. Let me show you. So if we click on this button, confirm box, here you can see a confirm box with transparent background overlay. It is a custom confirm box. You can display your message and also you can place your button. And you can set how much button you want. And if you want to place 4 or 5 button, yes, you can. You can style your font, change the background. Also, you can add cross sign in this corner. This is completely up to you. So this is the confirm box that I'm going to cover in this tutorial. But before we start the practical, I want to tell something. Here you can see a transparent div. And inside this transparent div, we have a confirm box. It means we have another div. So we are going to call this black outer layer div confirm box. And we are going to call this white div message box. So first we are going to create this black confirm box. And then we are going to put this message box inside this confirm box. Then inside this message box, I'm going to put this text and our buttons. So without wasting your time, let's start the practical. As you can see, I opened my Visual Studio Code Editor and I already created an HTML document named index.html. And I opened this document using live server. If I show you my browser, as you can see, now our document is completely blank. So let's back to the Visual Studio Code Editor. So here inside the body tag, I'm not going to type any HTML. We are going to create the confirm box using pure JavaScript. So inside the body tag, I'm going to take script tag, script. Then we are going to do all of these using a function. So I'm going to create a function, and our function name is show confirm. So whenever user calls this function, it's going to send a message. And I want to show this message in a confirm box. So as a parameter, I'm going to take message. So inside the round braces, I'm going to type message. Then inside the curly braces, at first I'm going to take a variable. And inside this variable, I'm going to create a div element. And also we need to add a class to this div, which is confirm box. So let's create the div. So I'm going to take a variable var and our variable name is confirm box. Confirm box assign with document dot create element create. Inside the round braces, I want to create a div tag. Div, then semicolon to end this line. And now we need to assign a class name to this div. So let's add the class. For that, I'm going to use this variable confirm box dot. We need to use class list method, class list, and I'm going to use add function to add class name to this div. Add inside the round braces, we need to pass the class name, and our class name is confirm box dash box, and semicolon to end this line. So we successfully assign a class to this div. For styling purpose, we need to assign this class. So here we create the confirm box. At the same way, we need to create message box inside the confirm box. To create the message box, I'm going to select both the lines and I'm going to duplicate it. Just I'm going to change the name. I'm going to replace confirm with message box. And also we need to assign a class. So message box dot class list dot add. Also our class name is message box, message dash box. And in this message box, I want to show a message which user pass as a parameter to this function. So we need to show the message in this message box. For that, we need to type message box dot, here I'm going to use text content method. Text content. Using text content, we can show text in our div element. And here I want to show our message. So I copy the variable name message and I'm going to paste it here. And semicolon to end this line. And now we need to append this message box inside this confirm box. For that, I'm going to use append child method. So I will type confirm box dot append child. Inside the round braces, I want to append message box to this confirm box. So copy the variable name message box and I'm going to paste it here and semicolon to end this line. So at first we create confirm box, then we create message box, and then we append this message box inside the confirm box. And now we need to insert button in this message box. But before, I want to show what we create. For that, I'm going to call this function. So here I'm going to call show confirm. And inside the round braces, we need to pass a message. And our message is, are you 18? And semicolon to end this line. If I save this file and if I show you my browser, you can see nothing because we do not style our div tags. So let's back to the Visual Studio Code Editor. So at first we need to style the confirm box. So I'm going to copy the class name confirm box. And inside the head tag, I'm going to type style. And inside this style tag, I'm going to select confirm box. So I'm going to type dot and our class name confirm box. Then inside the curly braces, first I'm going to take background, and I want black transparent background. For that, I'm going to use RGBA value, RGBA. For red, I'm going to pass 0. For green, also I'm going to use 0. For blue, 0. And I'm going to take alpha value 0.5. And I'm going to set this one. Next, I'm going to assign width and height with 100%. And height also 100%. With that, we need to specify the position. And I want fixed position. Then we need to pass the location. Left, I'm going to pass from left side, I'm going to take 0. And for top, also I'm going to take 0. And then I'm going to use Z index property. Z index, here I'm going to pass a big value, something 9999. Because whenever we call the confirm box, I don't want to show anything above the confirm box. Only I want to show the confirm box in our screen. That's why I use big value. And now we need to style the message box. So I'm going to copy the class name message box. Also, I'm going to select dot message box. Then inside the curly braces, first I'm going to take background property, background white. With that, I want to align the text inside the message box. Text align center. The next property I'm going to use font family, and I want to use Arial. Font size 16 pixel, and I'm going to take padding 20 pixel, I'm going to add padding from all direction. With that, also I'm going to take a line height. Line height 1.5 em. Also I'm going to take border to this message box. Border radius 5 pixel. And also I'm going to set border radius to this message box. Border radius 5 pixel. With that, I'm going to take box shadow. Box shadow, and I want transparent box shadow. From x-axis direction, I'm going to take 0. From y-axis direction, also I'm going to take 0. And blurriness of shadow is 10 pixel. With that, and I'm going to take transparent color. For that, we need to use RGBA value. RGBA. And I'm going to use the same color. And now, we need to append this confirm box in our body tag. For that, we need to type document dot body dot append child. Inside the round braces, we need to append the confirm box in our body tag. So copy confirm box and paste it here. And semicolon to end this line. So let's save the file. And if I show you my browser, as you can see, it append our confirm box in my browser. You can see the transparent black background. And inside this confirm box, we have also the message box. And you can see the text, Are you 18? Now, we need to place this message box middle of this page. For that, we need to use display property. So inside this confirm box, I'm going to use display, and I'm going to use display property flex. And to make it vertically and horizontally center, I'm going to use justify content. Justify content center. And for vertically center, we need to use align item property. Align item center. Let's save the file and back to the browser. Here you can see we horizontally and vertically make it center. And now we need to insert buttons to this confirm box. So let's back to the Visual Studio Code editor. And we need to add buttons inside the message box. For that, we need to create button box. For that, I'm going to select this two line and I'm going to paste it here. And also, I'm going to move this line below the message box variable. To create the button box, we need to create a variable where button box. Then inside the button box, I want to add a class. So button box dot classlist dot add button box. Button dash box. Then we need to append this button inside this message box. So copy message box variable and here I'm going to type message box dot append child. Inside the round braces, here I'm going to pass button box. And semicolon to end this line. So I successfully create the button box. Now we need to insert two buttons in this button box. So I need to create two different buttons. So let's create our first button. For that, I'm going to copy the same line. And I'm going to paste it here. And this time our variable name is yes button. This is our first button. Yes button. But this time our element is not div. So I'm going to replace div with button. Also, we need to assign a class to this button. For that, I'm going to copy this line. And I'm going to replace button box with yes button. Yes button dot class list dot add, and our class name is yes button. For button, I'm going to use small b. And also we need to add text in this button. For that, we need to use this line. So to copy this line and I'm going to paste it here. and I'm going to replace a message box with yes button. Yes button dot text content, and here I'm going to pass inside the double quote yes. And now also we need to append this button to this button box. For that, I'm going to copy this line. So I'm going to replace message box with button box. Button box dot append child, and inside the button box I want to append yes button. At the similar way, we are going to create no button. So I'm going to duplicate this section. And this time our variable name is no button. No button dot class list, and our button class name is no. And also we need to change the text content of this button, which is no. No button dot text content equal to no. And at the similar way, we need to append this button to this button box. So I am going to replace yes button with no button. Button box dot append child no button. And I'm going to save this file. So let's save the file and back to the browser. If I show you my browser, as you can see, below our message, we have two buttons, yes and no. And now we need to style both the buttons. So let's back to the Visual Studio Code editor and style this button. So let's back to this style section, and we need to style the button box. So I copy the class name button box and back to the style section. Dot button box inside the curly braces. First I'm going to use margin property. Margin top. From top I want nearly 30 pixel margin. And then I'm going to style the yes button and no button. So I copy yes button and back to the style section. Dot yes button, and inside the curly braces, but I want to apply same CSS both the buttons. So with yes button also I'm going to take no button, comma, dot no button. So at first I'm going to add padding property. Padding. From top and bottom I'm going to take 10 pixel. And from left and right I'm going to take 20 pixel. And font size I'm going to take 16 pixel. Then I'm going to use margin property. Margin. From left and right I'm going to use 0, and from top and bottom I'm going to use 20. And next I'm going to remove the default border from the button. Border none. And also I'm going to add some radius to our buttons. Border radius nearly 5 pixel. With that, I want to make my cursor pointer when I hover to this button. Cursor pointer. And now we need to provide different color both the buttons. So I'm going to select yes button, and for yes button I'm going to use background green, and I use font color white. Color white. And I'm going to duplicate this section, and I'm going to type for no button I want background color red and font color white. You can decorate your buttons in your choice. Now let's save the file and back to the browser. If I show you my browser, as you can see, now it's look pretty good. As you can see, our confirm box is ready. And also you can see the transparent background of this confirm box. Through the transparent background, you can see the content behind on it. So this is it for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we are going to coding the yes button and no button. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for the next part. Hello guys, good to see you back. This is the second part of this project. And in this tutorial, we are going to coding yes button and no button. So let's back to the Visual Studio Code editor. As you can see, we create yes button and no button. And I want to add click event both the buttons. So at first, let's add click event yes button. So type yes button dot, we need to use add event listener. Add event listener. Then inside the round braces, here I'm going to use click event. So I'm going to type click. And at the next parameter, we need to call a function. And our function name is yes button. Yes button click. So I need to create this function. Similarly, for no button, I'm going to copy the same line and I'm going to paste it here. And I'm going to change the variable name, no button. And our function name is no button click. So whenever user click yes button, it's going to call this function yes button click. And if user press no button, then it's going to call no button click. And now we need to create both the function. So first I'm going to create yes button click function. So copy the function name yes button click. And here I'm going to type function and our function name is yes button click. Then round braces. Then inside the curly braces I'm going to call a function. For that, when we call show confirm function with this text, I'm going to pass another function. It's an anonymous function. Then inside the round braces, here I'm going to pass a variable. And our variable name is result. And inside the curly braces, I'm going to call if statement. If inside the round braces result, then it's become true. If user press yes button, then I want to print in my console user press yes. So type console dot log inside the round braces, inside the double quotes, you pressed yes. And if the condition is not true, then in our else part, else inside the round brace curly braces, I want to print the same statement. So copy this statement and I'm going to paste it here. And this time I want to print you press no. As you can see, we create this function as a parameter. So we need to take a variable. Basically here we use callback technique. So I'm going to take my variable name callback. So with message, I'm going to take another parameter name callback. Then I'm going to call this callback function inside the yes button click. Let me show you. Callback round braces, and inside the round braces I'm going to pass true. At the same way, I'm going to create no button function. So I duplicate this section and I'm going to replace yes button with no button. No button click. And inside the no button click function, I'm going to pass false. Now the question is how it's going to work. So whenever user going to call this function show confirm, then this function going back to the callback function. In show confirm function, here we pass total two arguments. One argument is text argument and another one is anonymous function. And to handle this anonymous function, here we create a variable named callback. And we directly use this variable as a function in our yes button click function. And if user click yes button, then it's going to call this function callback and it's going to return true value. And if user press no button, in that case it's going to return false. And as you can see, here we handle the condition using if condition, if else. If it's written true, then it is going to print you pressed yes in our console. And if user press no button, then it's going to print you pressed no. We nearly done our project. But before, we need to remove the confirm box where the user click on yes button either no button. For that, here I'm going to create a function. And using the help of function, I'm going to close this confirm box. And our function name is remove confirm box. Function remove. Then insert the curly braces, and here just we need to remove a div element using remove function. We need to remove this div element named confirm box. If you notice, this is the parent div element, and inside this div element we create our confirm box, message, etc. So I'm going to select this variable and I copy it. Then back to this function. To remove it, we need to follow this method. Document dot body dot remove child. Remove child. Then inside the round braces, just we need to pass the variable name, and our variable name is confirm box. Then semicolon to end the line. So we create this remove function, and also we need to call this function. So I copy the function name and I'm going to paste after callback function. And also I'm going to call this function inside the no button click function. And I'm going to set this function. So whenever user click yes button, first it's going to return true, then it's going to remove the confirm box. Similarly for no button. So after save this file, let's go back to the browser. Here you can see the confirm box. Are you waiting? Whenever we reload our browser, automatically it appeared the confirm box. Because here we directly call the confirm box. We do not use any button to call this confirm box. It's not a very big deal. So whenever I click yes button, as you can see, it removes our confirm box. But if I show you my console, now you can see it's written you pressed yes. Because I click yes button. But if I reload my browser again, and this time I'm going to press no button. After press no button, as you can see, it successfully removed the confirm box. But if I show you my console section, as you can see, now it's print you pressed no. Basically, here I just print two statements in our console. But you can do whatever you want. You can call functions, you can perform any calculation, etc. Basically, I want to show you how we can create confirm box. And now I want to call this confirm box after press the button. For that, in our HTML portion, here I'm going to take a button. Here I'm going to create a button. And inside this button, I'm going to assign an ID. And our ID name is open box. And inside the button, I'm going to type confirm box. So whenever anyone click this confirm box button, I want to show the confirm box. To call this show confirm function, we need to create a selector. So at the end, I'm going to type document dot query selector inside the round braces, inside the double quotes, and our button ID is open box. So I copy the ID name and I'm going to paste it here. Hashtag open box. And in this button, I want to add click event dot add event listener inside the single quotes click. And as second parameter, we need to call an anonymous function. So I'm going to create an arrow function. This is our arrow operator. I know you are already familiar with it. So here we add click event to this ID. Then inside the curly braces, this function going to call this function, show confirm. So I'm going to copy this section. Basically, I'm going to cut this section and I'm going to paste it inside this anonymous function. And I'm going to save this file. Now let's back to the browser. Now you can see in my browser, we have a confirm box. If I click this button, as you can see, it shows our confirm box. Now we have total two options, yes or no. I'm going to press yes button. After press yes button, as you can see, it removes our confirm box. And if I show you my console, also it print you pressed yes button. So it successfully created a confirm box. I hope you like this project. Thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for the next project. Hello guys, good to see you back. Once again, I'm back with another project, and in this project we are going to create a modal box. As you can see on your screen, we have a button named open modal. If I click on this button, as you can see, it opens a modal box with transparent background. It's pretty similar to previous example. And if I click this cross icon, as you can see, it closes our modal box. And also we can close our modal box if we press anywhere outside the modal box. Suppose I click in that place. Also it closes our modal box. So how can we create modal box? Let's start the practical and see how we can create it. As you can see, side by side I open my Visual Studio Code editor and my browser using Live Server extension. And I already created an HTML document named index.html. Today in this project we are going to create a modal box. And our project is pretty similar with previous project. So without wasting your time, let's start it. So at first we are going to start with HTML. So inside the body tag, first I'm going to take a button. And in this button I'm going to set an ID. ID equal to my button. And here I'm going to type open modal. And then I'm going to take a div, and I'm going to assign a ID to this div. ID equal to, and this is our modal box. So here I'm going to set my modal. With that, also I'm going to set a class equal to modal. This is our trigger button for modal, and this is our actual modal. And inside this modal, we need to pass modal content. So here I'm going to take another div element, div. And also I'm going to set a class to this div element, class modal content dash hyphen content. Then inside the modal content, first I'm going to take a paragraph, p tag. And here I'm going to pass some dummy text, lorem 6. Basically it's going to add total 6 words. And here also we need to take a cross icon to close the modal box. For that I'm going to use span tag with entity code. So I'm going to type span, and I'm going to assign a class to this span tag, class, and our class name is close. With that, and here I'm going to use the entity code for cross sign. To start entity code, first we need to use & sign. Then I'm going to type times times this one. So let's save the file and see what it returned. After save this file, as you can see, first it create a button, then inside the modal box it add modal content. Basically it add a dummy paragraph. With that it add cross sign. We are going to use this cross sign to close this modal box. And now we need to design the modal box using its class name. So I'm going to select the class name modal. And after title tag, I'm going to use style tag. Style. Inside the style tag, first I'm going to select dot modal. And inside the curly braces, our first property name is display. Display. For now I'm going to use display block. Position. And I want position fixed position. With that, also I'm going to use z-index. Z-index is very important because I don't want to show anything above the modal box. When I click on this button, I want to show only the modal box. So I'm going to set z-index 1. And if you want, you can use any bigger value. Because in this project we are going to create only the modal box, that's why I don't need any bigger value. If you add more HTML content, then you should use bigger z-index value. Our next property is left. From left, I'm going to take 0. And for top, also I'm going to take 0. Then I'm going to set height and width to this modal box with 100%. Also our height is height 100%. So here we use full height and full width of our browser. Then also we need to control the overflow. I want to set overflow auto. Here I enable scroll if user needed to scroll. That's why I use auto value. Our next property is background color. Background color, and I'm going to use RGBA value. RGBA. For red, I'm going to take 0. For green, also I'm going to take 0. For blue, also I'm going to take 0. For red, I'm going to take 0. For green, also I'm going to use 0. And for blue, again I'm going to use 0. And for alpha value, I'm going to use 0.5. It's going to provide black transparent background. And I'm going to save this file. And here you can see the result. Here you can see it takes full height and full width of browser. And also it provides a transparent background. So we successfully style our modal background. And now we need to style the modal content. For that, I'm going to select the class name modal content. And in our style tag, dot modal content. And inside the curly braces, our first property is background color. Background color, and here I'm going to use a hexadecimal value. Hashtag FEFEFE. It's going to provide a little gray-white color. Next, I'm going to use margin property. Margin, from top and bottom, I'm going to use 15%. And from left and right, I'm going to use auto. With that, I want to set padding to this modal content. Padding, and I want to add padding from every direction, 20 pixel. Our next property is border. Border, and I want 1 pixel border. With that, I want solid border. Solid. And our border color is 888. Here I use gray border color. And then we need to mention the width of this modal box. So here I'm going to type width 80%. It could be more or less depending on screen size. Then I'm going to save this file. And now we need to style this cross icon. We need to move it right side. So let's select it. So I'm going to copy the class name, close. And here I'm going to type dot close. Then inside the curly braces, first I'm going to assign a color. Colored, and I'm going to use hexavalue. Here I use a little bit gray color. With that, I'm going to set float. Float right. Our next property is font size. Font size 28 pixel. And our another property is font weight. Font weight, and I want to use bold. I want bolder font. Let's save the file and see. After save this file, you can see the result. Now it's look little bigger. And now I want, when I hover my cursor on this icon, I want cursor pointer. With that, I want little dark color to this icon. For that, we need to use hover effect and focus. So type dot close colon hover. With that, also I'm going to take dot close colon focus. Then inside the curly braces, first I'm going to set font color. Color, and I want black color. And then I'm going to set text decoration. Text decoration none. I don't want any text decoration. And just I'm going to style the cursor pointer. And I'm going to save this file. Now, if I hover my cursor on this icon, you can see the result. First, it changes the background color, then it makes our cursor pointer. So we successfully create our simple modal box. And now we need to hide this modal box. So I'm going to use display property none. And I'm going to save this file. After save this file, as you can see, it hides our modal box from this page. And now we need to show this modal box when I click this open modal button. I want to say when I click this button, then I want to make display property block. And when I click the close icon, then again we need to make the display property none. So we are going to do it using JavaScript. So this is it for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we are going to start the JavaScript. Thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for the next tutorial. Hello guys, good to see you back. This is the second part of this tutorial, and in this part we are going to start the JavaScript. So after the last div tag, I'm going to take script tag, script, and inside the script tag, first we need to get the model. For that I'm going to create a variable var, and our variable name is model equal to, and we are going to get the model using its ID name. For that we need to type document dot get element by ID, and inside the double quotes the ID name is my model. So copy the ID name and I'm going to paste it here. Then semicolon to end this line. At the similar way, we need to grab the button using its ID name, which is my button. So I'll copy the class name and I'm going to duplicate this statement. This time our variable name is button, btn. Document.get element by ID, my button. Next, we need to grab this span element to close the model. For that, I'm going to create another variable var, and our variable name is span. Span equal to document dot, this time I'm going to grab the span using its class name, get element by class name. Then inside the round braces, we need to provide the class name, and our class name is close. With that, I want to grab the first item. So inside the square braces, we need to pass the index number, zip, and then semicolon to end this line. So I successfully select all the elements. And now, when user click on the button, I want to open the model. For that, we need to use onClick function. We need to run onClick function to this button variable. So we'll type button dot onClick equal to, I'm going to run an anonymous function. Then inside the curly braces, I want to make model display property block. For that, we need to use style and display method. Let me show you. So here we type model dot style dot display equal to, I want to say it block. Then semicolon to end this line. So let's set the file and click on open model button. So after press open model button, as you can see, it show our model. But if I click this cross icon, it cannot close our model. For that, again, we need to make display property none when I click on this icon. So I'm going to duplicate this section. And this time, I'm going to run onClick function on span tag. Span dot onClick equal to anonymous function. Then, if user click on this icon, then make model display property none. If I set this file and click on model button, as you can see, it show our model. And now if I click on the cross icon, as you can see, it close our model. So I successfully create the model box. Now when user click on outside the anywhere in the model, I want to close the model block. Now whenever user click outside the model box, I want to close the model box. Suppose user click at that place. Also I want to close the model box. For that, we need to select the window object. Let me show. Window dot onClick function. OnClick. Then I want to call anonymous function. And as parameter, I want to call an event. Then inside the curly braces, here I'm going to use a if statement. If event dot target equal to model, then inside the curly braces, I'm going to print this same line. So I copy this statement and I'm going to paste it here. Model.style.display equal to none. And I'm going to set this file. So let's open the model. So after open the model, I'm going to click on anywhere outside the modal box. Now you can see also it closed our modal box. I hope you like this project. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for the next tutorial. Hello guys, good to see you back. Once again I'm back with a new project, and in this project we are going to create filter search table. As you can see on your screen, we have an input field. With that we have a table, and in this table we have total 4 students with 2 columns. In our first column we save student name, and in our second column we save student country name. Suppose you have thousands of students in your directory. In that case, you want to search a student name which contained W character. So if I press W, as you can see, it's written add 1. And it hides all the student table row. It shows only the particular row, add 1. Similarly, if you want to search Boris from the student list, yes you can. I want to see the country name of Boris from where he belongs. So I'm going to type Boris. As you can see, he is from UK. Our search table is pretty advanced. So let's start the practical and see how we can create this kind of search table. So finally, we are in my Visual Studio Code editor, and I create an HTML document named index.html, and I open this HTML document using our live server. And now the document is completely blank. And as you know, here we are going to create a filter table. So let's start with HTML. First, I'm going to take an input tag, input, and input type is text. Also, I'm going to assign an ID to this input tag, ID, and for ID I'm going to take my input, and also I'm going to take a placeholder for that input, and inside this placeholder I'm going to type search for name, search for name. So let's set the file, and if I show you my browser, you can see a input bar. Don't worry, we are going to style this input section later after done our HTML part. So let's back to the Visual Studio Code, and now I'm going to create a table. So I'm going to use table tag, table, and in this table I'm going to assign a ID, and ID name is ID equal to my table. Then inside this table, I'm going to take table raw using tr tag, table raw. Also, I'm going to assign a class to this table raw, class header. And inside the table row, to create the column, we need to use td tag. This is our header, so I'm going to use th tag, th. It stands for table header. Our first header name is name, and our second header name is country. Also, I'm going to give some weight to this table header, so I'm going to use inline style method. Style weight 60%. For name, here I use 60% weight, and also I'm going to use the same property in our country column. So I copy this section and I'm going to paste it here with 40%, and I'm going to save this file. If I show you my browser, as you can see, it creates 2 columns, name and country. So we successfully create table header. Now we need to fill data using tr tag. So let's back to the Visual Studio Code, and here I'm going to use tr tag, tr, and instead the tr tag I'm going to use td tag, td, and I duplicate it. In our first td tag means name column, I'm going to take a name, and the name is add1, add1 from USA. Then I duplicate this section. Then I'm going to take another name, Ravi, Ravi from India. Then again I'm going to duplicate this section, and our next student name is Amjad, and Amjad from Pakistan. At last I'm going to take another table row, so I duplicate this section and our last student is from United Kingdom, and his name is Boris. Boris from UK. And I'm going to set this file. If I show you my browser, you can see, here you can see we have total 4 students from different countries. And now we need to style the search bar and the table. So let's back to the Visual Studio Code. And I open my Visual Studio Code and my browser side by side, so we can see the design. So at first we need to style the input bar. For that, I'm going to use this ID, my input. Then here I'm going to create style tag, style. Inside this style tag, hashtag our ID name, my input. Then inside the curly braces, first I'm going to set width 100%. Then I'm going to use font size property. Font size 16 pixel. With that, I'm going to add some padding. Padding from top, I'm going to take 12 pixel. From right, I'm going to take 20 pixel. And from bottom, I'm going to take 12 pixel again. And from the left, I'm going to take 40 pixel. With that, also I'm going to add some border. Border, I want 1 pixel border. And I want solid border. Solid. And our border color is kind of gray. After set this file, you can see the result. Now our search bar looking pretty good. But also I'm going to add some margin from the bottom. Margin bottom. Margin bottom 12 pixel. So I successfully styled the input section. Now we need to style the table section. For that, I'm going to use this ID, my table. Hashtag my table. Then inside the curly braces, my first property we are going to use, which is border collapse. Border collapse. Border collapse equal to collapse. It's going to collapse the borders. Our next property is width. Width 100%. Here I'm going to use 100% width. Our next property I'm going to add, which is border. Border, I want 1 pixel border. Also I want solid border. And I'm going to set border color hashtag DDD, kind of gray color. Also I'm going to set the font size. Font size 12 pixel. And I'm going to set this file. Now you can see the changes in our table. Let's increase the font size of this table. So here I'm going to pass 18 pixel. And I'm going to set this file. Now it's look pretty good. And now we need to style the table cells, including header. So I'm going to copy my table and I'm going to select both table header and table data. My table th tag. With I'm going to select my table td tag. Then inside the curly braces, our first property is text align. Text align, and I want left alignment. Left. And I'm going to set this file. Also I'm going to add some padding between these cells. Padding nearly 12 pixel. This is good. Now our table is looking very good. But if you notice, you can see there is no divider line between tables row. For that, I'm going to add border. My table, and I'm going to select this time tr tag, table row. Then inside the curly braces, I'm going to add border at bottom. So I'm going to type border bottom border bottom 1 pixel, and I want solid border. With that, I'm going to set border color DDD, kind of gray color. Now you can see the result. And now I want to add hover effect to our table rows when I hover my cursor any of the row. For that, we need to select my table. TR stands for table row dot header. Because for table header, here we define a class named header, comma. With that, I'm going to select all the table row. My table TR colon hover. Then inside the curly braces, I want to set background color. Background color, and the background color is hashtag F1 F1 F1, and I'm going to set this file. It's a kind of gray color. Here we use combination selector. So whenever I hover my cursor on this table row, as you can see, it provides gray background color to the particular row. So in this tutorial, we've done CSS and HTML part. At the next tutorial, we are going to start the JavaScript. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for the next part. Hello guys, good to see you back. So once again, I am back to my Visual Studio Code Editor. And as you can see, we already create the table and the search bar. And as I told you, from this part, we are going to start JavaScript. At first, I want to add an event to our input section. So here, I'm going to use an event, and our event name is onKeyUp. On key up. This event going to call a function when user release the key. And here I'm going to call a function, and my function name is my function. My function. So I'm going to create the function inside this script tag. So I'm copy the function name. Then back to the end table tag. And here I'm going to use script tag. Script. And inside the script tag, first I'm going to create a function. As you know, our function name is my function. Function, and my function name is my function. Then inside the curly braces, first I'm going to declare some variable. And to declare this variable, I'm going to use one-liner. Where our first variable name is input, comma. Our second variable name is filter. Our third variable name is table. Our fourth variable name is table row, TR. Our fifth variable name is table data, TD. And for loop iteration, I'm going to use I. And our last variable name is text value. Then semicolon to end this line. So at first, I'm going to grab the input data using input variable. For that, we are going to use this ID, my input. So I copy the ID name, my input, and back to the function. And here I'm going to type input equal to document.getElementById, document.getElementById inside the round braces, inside the double quotes our ID name, my input, then semicolon to end this line. And to handle this case sensitive of input data, we are going to use filter. Filter equal to input dot value dot, here I'm going to use a function named toUpperCase. Then inside the round braces, and this is a function, toUpperCase function. Then semicolon to end this line. This function going to convert small case word into uppercase to handle the case sensitiveness. Next, I'm going to target the table. For that, I'm going to use this ID, my table. So I copy the ID name, and here I'm going to type table equal to document dot get element by id inside the round braces, inside the double quotes, our id name, my table, then semicolon to end the line. Also, we are going to target table raw using tr tag. Tr equal to table dot get element by tag name. Then inside the round braces, I'm going to pass the tag name, which is tr, table raw. Then semicolon to end this line. So from the table variable, I'm going to target the table rows. And now we need to run a loop through all the table rows and hide those who don't match the search query. So here I'm going to type for. For inside the round braces, I'm going to type I assign with 0. Then also we need to set a condition. I less than tr means table row dot length. Then increment the I variable. So I want to type I plus plus. Here you can see we already declare a variable named I. Then I assign I with 0. And to run the loop through all the table rows, here I use length function with table row dot length. And if the I value every time match with this condition, then increment the I value with 1. Now inside the curly braces, first we need to target the table data from the every row. For that, I want to use this variable td. td equal to tr, table row. Then inside the square braces, I'm going to pass the I value, I. We need to extract table data from every row. That's why we need to pass I. Because every time we run the loop, it's going to add new index number to I variable. Dot get element by tag name. Get element by tag name. Then inside the round braces, I want to tag table data, means td. So inside the double quotes, I'm going to type td, table data. Then we need to select the specified table data. Here I want to search students by their name, not their country. For that, we need to pass inside the square braces 0, their index number. And if you search students by their country, in that case you need to pass 1, because our index start with 0. And as you can see, we have total 2 columns in our table, index 0 and index 1. That's why I pass 0, because I want to search by their name. Then semicolon to end this line. Then inside the for loop, here I'm going to use if condition. If inside the round braces, td table data return true, then inside the curly braces, I'm going to call a variable named text value. Text value equal to, here I'm going to compare table data using OR operator. So first I'm going to type td dot text content OR operator td dot inner text. Then semicolon to end this line. Here we compare two methods using OR operator to get the text value. Our first method is text content and our another method is inner text. If any of the method get the value, then assign to this variable. Then inside this if condition, I am going to run another if condition. If inside the round braces text value dot, I am going to call to uppercase function, to uppercase dot, also I am going to call index of function, index of. Then inside the round braces, I am going to type filter. Here, first we convert this text value into uppercase. Then we use index of function. These functions retain the position of the first occurrence of the value in a string. Then greater than minus 1. Then inside the curly braces, as you know, we run the loop through over all the table row element. Which row content match with the text value, I want to show only the particular row. And I want to hide all the other rows. And this condition going to check if the filter value is substring of text value. Then inside the if condition, I want to display the particular row. Suppose user type BO in their search field. Then after convert this input value into uppercase, this function going to find Boris is substring of text value. Then show only this particular row. So inside the curly braces, I'm going to type tr inside the square braces, particular row number I dot, here I'm going to use style method, style dot display and equal to, I want to remain as it is. I don't want to change the display property of particular row, but I want to hide all the other rows. For that, at the else part, else inside the curly braces, I'm going to use the same statement. So I copy this statement and I'm going to paste it here. But this time I'm going to say display property none. And I'm going to set this file. So we create our search table. So let's save the file and search some query. First I'm going to type Ravi, RA. As you can see, after type RA, it show the result. It show the particular table row and hide other table rows. Similarly, if I search for Boris, BO, then also you can see it's written the particular table row from Boris. It auto-complete the student name. And I don't need to type complete name from the, complete name. But this time I'm going to type only I. As you can see, after press only I, it's going to return result from two table row, Robbie and Boris, because both the name contain I keyword. And to handle case sensitiveness, we convert result and search query into uppercase. So we successfully create the project. Thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for the next project. Hello guys, good to see you back. Once again, I'm back with a new project related JavaScript, HTML and CSS. And in this project, we are going to create my to-do list. As you can see on your screen, we have an input field. Also, we have an add button. And below this header section, we have some list. And we have total 4 list items in this list. And now I decide to add another list item to this list. I want to buy some apple. So I'm going to add these in my list. So I'm going to type buy apple. And I'm going to press add button. So this is our to-do list. And I complete some of the tasks from this list. Suppose I already buy eggs and read a book. Then I'm going to add check mark to this list. So I'm going to click on it. It adds check mark to this list. And if you by mistake check any of this list item, you can uncheck it also. Suppose you want to uncheck pay bills, then click it again. It's going to uncheck your list item. Also, if you want to remove list item from your to-do list, yes, you can. Suppose I want to remove meet add one from this list. Then right side on the screen, you can see a close button. If you click this close button, as you can see, it removed the list item. So this is how you can remove list item. You can check or uncheck your list item. Also, you can add multiple list item as much you want. So without wasting your time, let's start the practical and see how we can create it. So as you can see, side by side I open my Visual Studio Code editor and my browser using Live Server extension. And I already created an HTML document named index.html. So at first, inside the body tag, I'm going to take div tag. Div. And I'm going to assign a class and ID to this div tag. ID. And the ID name is myDiv. And the class name is header. Then inside this div tag, first I'm going to take heading to tag h2. And here I'm going to type my to-do list. Then I'm going to take a input tag. Input. Input type text. And here I'm going to use ID. ID equal to my input. Next, I'm going to use another parameter, which is placeholder. Placeholder, and by default, I'm going to type title. And I'm going to save this file. After save this file, you can see in my browser. And then we need to create a add button. For that, I'm not going to use any button tag. Here, I'm going to use span tag. Span. and also I'm going to add a class to this span tag. Class equal to add button, and here I'm going to type add, and I'm going to set this file. Then I'm going to add a unordered list outside the div element. Unordered list ul. Also I'm going to assign an ID to this unordered list. ID equal to my ul. Then one by one I'm going to add some list items. So I'm going to use li tag. In our first list item I'm going to type by x. Then I duplicate this line, and also here I'm going to type read a book. Next I'm going to add pay bills. So I'm going to replace read a book with pay bills. And last I'm going to add meet add one. And I'm going to set this file. So these are all list items that I already add to my to-do list. So first you need to buy some eggs, then you need to read a book, then you need to pay your bills and meet your friend add one. Now suppose you pay your bills. So you need to add a check mark to this list item. For that, here I'm going to add a class. And our class name is checked. And I'm going to set this file. So we successfully complete our HTML part. Now we need to start the styling. For that, inside the head tag, here I'm going to type style tag. Style. And inside the style tag, first I'm going to select a universal selector, star. Then inside the curly braces, so our first property is box sizing. Box sizing, border box. Next, I'm going to select all the UL tags, UL. Then inside the curly braces, first I'm going to remove all the margin and padding from the list. So I'm going to type margin 0 and padding 0. Now we need to style all the list items. So here I'm going to type ul li. Then inside the curly braces, first I'm going to make cursor pointer. Our next property is position relative. Also I'm going to add some padding from every direction. Padding from top I'm going to add 12 pixel. From right I'm going to add 8 pixel. And from bottom also I'm going to add 12 pixel. And from the left I'm going to add 40 pixel. Our next property is background. And for that I'm going to use a hexa value #EEE. It's a kind of gray color. Then I'm going to add some font size. Font size 18 pixel. With that, I'm going to add some little transition. Because in future we are going to add hover effect on it. That's why we need to use transition property. Transition and transition timing is 0.2 seconds. And now here we need to use another important property, which is user select. Using this property, we can make the list item unselectable. For that, I'm going to type user select none. And I'm going to set this file. And to set all the list items to a different background color, we need to use nChild selector. Let me show you. So I'm going to type ul li colon nth child. Then inside the round braces, I'm going to select odd. Then inside the curly braces, I'm going to use a property named background. And I'm going to set background color a hexa value F9, F9, F9. And I'm going to save this file. So here you can see the zebra strip effect in the list items. Next, I want the dark background when I hover my cursor to this UL tags. Sorry, the LI tags. For that, we need to select UL LI colon hover. I'm going to use hover selector. Then inside the curly braces, I'm going to type background. Background, and I need little darker color. So I'm going to use hashtag DDD. So after save this file, if I hover my cursor on this list items, you can see the effect. And I already used transition property. Transition 0.2 second. That's why you can see the little transition when it changes the background color. Now we need to style the particular list item, and the list item name is checked. Here I use a class named checked. We need to style this item. So I copy the class name checked. So from this list, user already pay their bills. So I need to check this list item. So I need to style this list item. For that, we need to type ul li dot class name, which is checked. Then inside the curly braces, I'm going to use a property named background. Background hashtag 888. With that, also I'm going to change the font color. I want white font color. Color hashtag FF8. And text decoration, I'm going to use line through. If I save this file, you can see the result. So I successfully checked this list item. And also we need to add check mark before the pay bill. For that, we need to use a procedure selector. And our procedure selector name is before. So I'm going to type ul li dot checked. Then colon, I'm going to use before selector. It's a procedure selector. Then inside the curly braces, first we need to create a blank content. Content equal to blank. Our next property is position. Position absolute. Then next I'm going to use border color. Border color, I want white color. Hashtag FF8. Border style, I'm going to use solid. Our next property is border width. Border width, from top I'm going to take 0. From right I'm going to take 2 pixels. From bottom also I'm going to take 2 pixels. From left I'm going to take 0. Next I'm going to use top value. From top I'm going to take 10 pixels. And from the left also I want to take 16 pixels. With that I'm going to use another property, which is transform. Transform, and here I'm going to use rotate value. Rotate, and I want to rotate it 45 degrees. And also we need to mention the height and width. Height 15 pixels. Width 7 pixels. So let's save the file and see what it returned. After save this file, as you can see, it add check mark before the pay bills. Also we need to create a close button to the right side, but we are going to do it using JavaScript. But for now, here I'm going to type a single line comment, style the close button. And we are going to adding the CSS when we start the JavaScript. Now, let's style the header section. For that, I'm going to select this class, header. Here I'm going to type dot header. Inside the curly braces, our first property is background color. Background color And here I'm going to use gray background color. Gray. And I'm going to set this file. Also, I'm going to add padding and change the font color. So I'm going to type padding. From top and bottom, I'm going to use 30 pixel. And from left and right, I'm going to use 40 pixel. Our next property is color, font color. Color, and I'm going to use white color. Next, I want to align the text. So I'm going to type text align center. And I'm going to set this file. Now it's look little good. And now we need to style the input section. For that, I'm going to type input. Then inside the curly braces, I'm going to set margin. Margin 0. Our next property is border. Border none. Then I'm going to set border radius. Border radius and border radius 0. Our next property is width. Width, and here I'm going to use percentage value 75%. Padding 10 pixel. And next I'm going to use float property. Float left. Float left. Also I'm going to assign font size. Font size 16 pixel. And I'm going to set this file. And here you can see the result. At last, we need to style this add button. For that, I'm going to use this class, add button. Dot add button, inside the curly braces, our first property is padding. Padding 10 pixel. Our next property is width. Width 25%. And I'm going to set this file. Next, I'm going to add background. Background, and I'm going to add hexa value. D9, D9, D9. It's going to add kind of gray color. Next, I'm going to change the font color. Color, and also I'm going to add a hexa value. Hashtag 555. It's a dark gray color. Float left. Text align property center. Font size, and here I'm going to use font size 16 pixel. And I want cursor pointer. Cursor pointer. Transition, and I want transition in 0.3 second. Here I use transition property because we are going to add hover effect. And our last property is border radius. Border radius 0. And now I'm going to save this file. After save this file, you can see the result. And now I want to add hover effect to this button. For that, I'm going to select dot add button colon hover. Then inside the curly braces, our property name is background color. Background color, and I'm going to use hashtag DDD. After save this file, if I hover my cursor on this add button, as you can see, it add little transition. Now let's add little darker color of this shade. After save this file, if I hover my cursor on this button, you can see the result. Now if you notice, there is a problem. Our list items attached with this input section. For that, we need to clear floats after the header. So let's clear it. So after the header selector, I'm going to type dot header. With that, here I'm going to use this procedure selector name after. Then inside the curly braces, our first property name is content. Content blank. Our second property name is display. display, and I want display table. And our last property is clear. Clear both. After set this file, you can see our to-do list looks perfect. So I successfully styled our to-do list. From the next tutorial, we are going to start JavaScript. Thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for the next part. Good to see you back, guys. This is the second part of this tutorial, and in this part, we are going to start JavaScript. First, we are going to create close button, and we need to append it each of the list items. So here, I'm going to take script tag, script, and inside the script tag, first I'm going to declare a variable, var, and our variable name is my node list, equal to document dot get element by id. Here I'm going to target all the li tags. So we'll type get element by tag name inside the round braces, inside the double quotes li, and semicolon to end this line. Next, I'm going to declare a variable var I. So here we target all the li tags. We have total 4 li tags, and now we need to run loop through all the li tags. So I want to type for inside the round braces I equal to 0, semicolon. Then we need to set a condition, I less than my node list dot length function. If I variable less than my node list dot length, then increment the loop I plus plus. Then inside the curly braces, first I'm going to create an element. So I'm going to type var, and our variable name is span. We are going to create span tag. Span equal to document dot create element. Create element. Then inside the round braces, inside the double quotes, here we are going to create a span tag, and semicolon to end this line. Then inside this span tag, we are going to create a cross sign, and to create the cross sign, we are going to use Unicode. So we'll type var, and our variable name is txt, text, equal to document dot create text node, create text node. Then inside the round braces, inside the double quotes, here I'm going to use a Unicode, \u D7, capital D7, and semicolon to end this line. And to assign a class, I'm going to type span dot, and here I'm going to use class name method, class name. Then equal to inside the double quotes close. So I successfully assign a class to this span tag. And now we need to append this text inside this span tag. For that, I'm going to type span dot append child. Append child. Then inside the round braces, I'm going to pass txt. Then semicolon to end this line. And now also we need to append this span tag inside the node list item. So here we need to type my node list dot append child. Then inside the round braces, I'm going to type span, and semicolon to end this line. And I want to set this file. So I successfully create the close button and append it inside of each of the list. Now we need to style this close button, otherwise we cannot see the close button here. For that, we need to go back to the style section, and here we are going to style the close button. As you know, in our close button we assign a class, and our class name is close dot close. Then inside the curly braces, first I'm going to set position. And I want to set position absolute. Our next property is right. From right, I'm going to take 0. Also, from top, I'm going to take 0. Then I'm going to add padding. Padding 12 pixel. From top, I take 12 pixel. From right, I'm going to take 16 pixel. From bottom, I'm going to take 12 pixel again. And from the left, I'm going to take 16 pixel. And I'm going to save this file. And now I'm going to add background color. Background color, and I want gray background color. Also, I'm going to use font color. Color, and our color name is white. And I'm going to save this file. If I save this file, as you can see, we cannot see anything at that position. Because in JavaScript, we need to append it all the note list item. For that, inside the square braces, we need to pass I. If I save this file, now you can see the result. Here you can see it adds the cross button to every list items. Now I want to add hover effect to this cross button. For that, I'm going to cut these two properties. And here, I'm going to use a procedure selector. Let me show you. Dot close colon hover. Then inside the curly braces, I'm going to paste both the properties, background color and text color. And I'm going to save this file. After save this file, as you can see, when I hover my cursor any of the cross button, you can see the hover effect. Also you can see it's changed the font color, dark to white. So we successfully create the close buttons. And now I want to hide the list item whenever I click this close button. For that, we need to back to the JavaScript section. And outside the for loop, I'm going to create another variable where, and our variable name is close. Close equal to, here I'm going to target this span element using its class name. So I'm going to type document dot get element by class name, then inside the round braces, inside the double quotes, I'm going to pass the class name, which is close, and semicolon to end the line. Then again, we need to run a loop. For that, again I'm going to declare a variable where I. As you know, in every span tag, we have the same class named close. So we need to run a loop through the every close items. For that, I'm going to use for loop. For inside the round braces, I equals to 0, semicolon. Then we need to set the condition. I less than close dot length function, and semicolon to end it. If the condition is matched, then increment the I value with 1, I++. Then inside the curly braces, then I want to add on-click event to every close button. For that, I'm going to type close inside the square braces I dot on click equal to, here I'm going to call an anonymous function. Then inside the curly braces, sorry, it is not class dot length, it is close dot length. Close. Then inside the curly braces, here we need to select the particular parent div element. For that, we need to use this keyword. So I'm going to type var, and our variable name is div equal to this dot parent element. And semicolon to end this line. Now the question is, why we use this dot parent element? Because I want to target the particular parent element of this span tag. That's why we need to use this keyword. And then we need to hide this div element. For that, I'm going to type div dot style dot display equal to, inside the double quotes, none, and semicolon to end this line. So whenever we click the particular close button, it's going to set display property none of this parent tag. It means it's going to hide this list item. So let's save the file and click on any of the list item close button. So I want to delete meet add one from this list item. So if I click on this button, as you can see, it delete meet add one from this list item. And now we need to add check symbol when I click on any list item, something like that. Suppose I already buy eggs. For that, we need to add check symbol. For that, again I'm going to create a variable. Let me show you how. So outside the for loop, I'm going to type var, and our variable name is list, equal to document.querySelector document.querySelector, inside the round braces, inside the single quotes. Here I'm going to target unordered list. So I'm going to type UL and semicolon to end this line. At the next line, I'm going to add an event to this list. For that, I'm going to type list dot add event listener. Then inside the round braces, I want to add click event. So I'm going to type click. With that, I'm going to call an anonymous function, and I'm going to type function. Then inside the round braces, I'm going to take a parameter, and our parameter name is EV. Then inside the curly braces, here I'm going to use a if condition. Here I'm going to check if the targeted tag is li, then I want to add a class to this particular item, and the class name is checked. I'm going to add the same class here I use for pay bills. So I'm going to type if inside the round braces ev dot target dot tag name identical with, inside the single quotes, li. Then inside the curly braces, so if the targeted tag name is li, then I want to add any class to this targeted li. For that, I'm going to type ev dot target dot class list method, class list. And here I'm going to use toggle method. As you know, toggle method works like a switch. So I'm going to type toggle. Then inside the round braces, inside the single quote, I'm going to type the class name, which is checked, and semicolon to end this line. So first time, if I click this item, it's going to add the class. And second time, if I click on the same item, it's going to remove the class. I want to say, first time, it's going to add the check class if I click on buy X list item. And if I click it list item again, then it's going to remove the check class. So after save this file, I'm going to click this list item, read a book. So after click this item, as you can see, it add check sign to this list item. Similarly, if I click on meet add one, also you can see it add checked icon to this list item. And if I click it again, it's going to remove the check signed. Now let's back to the JavaScript. Then outside this event, if the condition is not matched, then return false, and semicolon to end this line. So this is the second part of this tutorial. In this part, we learn how we can add close button. Also, we learn how we can add check button to this list items. At the next part of this tutorial, we are going to learn how can we add new list item after pressing the add button. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for our next tutorial. But hello guys, good to see you back. Once again, I'm back with another tutorial related to this project. And now we are going to add new list item when I click on the add button. For that, we need to create a function. So inside the script tag, here I'm going to create a function, and our function name is new element. Function new element. Then inside the curly braces, but before I create the function, I'm going to call the function. So copy the function name new element. So let's back to the HTML span tag. Here you can see we have a span tag name add button. So in this span tag, I'm going to use onClick method. onClick. onClick, inside the double quotes, I'm going to call the function, which is new element, and I'm going to save this file. Then I back to the function, and inside the new element function, at first we need to create a li element. For that, I'm going to create a variable var, and our variable name is li. li equal to document dot create element inside the round braces, inside the double quotes, li. Then semicolon to end this line. Next, we need to target the input value from this input section. For that, I'm going to create another variable var, and our variable name is input value equal to document dot get element by id. Then inside the round braces, inside the double quotes, I'm going to type the id name. So let's back to the HTML section and see the id name. And the id name is my input. So I copy the id name and I'm going to paste it here. And from this id, I want to say from this input section, I want to grab the value. For that, we need to run dot value. Then semicolon to end this line. And now we need to create a text node using the input value. For that, here I'm going to type var t equal to document dot create text node, create text node inside the round braces. I'm going to pass the input value. Then semicolon to end this line. And now we need to append this text node inside the li tag. For that, I'm going to type li dot append child inside the round braces. I'm going to pass the text node, which is t, and semicolon to end this line. And I want to save this file. And now we need to append this li tag inside this ul tag. But before, we are going to check if condition. We are going to run if condition to check the input. We are going to run if condition to check the input field is blank or not. If the input field is blank, then it's going to return a message. Not the message, it's going to return an alert box. And if it is not, then it's going to append the text inside this list. So for that, I'm going to use if condition. If inside the round braces, input value identical blank. If the input field is blank, then inside the if condition, I'm going to alert a message. Alert. Inside the double quotes, I'm going to type, you must write something. And semicolon to end this line. Otherwise, inside the else part, else, inside the curly braces, I want to append this list item in this unordered list. For that, we need to target the unordered list. So to type document dot get element by id. Inside the round braces, we need to pass the unordered list id name. And the id name is my ul. So I copy the id name, then back to the code. And here I'm going to paste the id name, my ul. Also, I want to append dot append child. Inside the round braces, I'm going to append li tag. And I'm going to save this file. Now, let's try to add something. So I'm going to save this file, and inside the input field, first I'm going to type by Apple. After press add button, as you can see, in our list it add by Apple. But if I blank this input field, then I press add button. Now you can see it returned a alert box. You must write something. But if you notice, you can see after hover on it, there is no cross button in this new list item. So here we need to add a close button. And to add this close button, I am going to use this same code. This code. Because I already created this span tag and designed this span tag in our style section. So I'm going to copy this section. Then here I'm going to paste the code. And I'm going to save this file. Basically, this is going to assign a close class to this span tag, to our new list item. Again, I'm going to add a new list item. And I'm going to type by Apple. And I'm going to press enter. Now you can see the remove button in this list. But if I click this remove button, as you can see, it's not going to work. Because just we assign this class. But we do not do anything to remove this class. And we need to use the same for loop to hide this list item. So I'm going to copy this for loop. And I'm going to paste it here. And I'm going to save this file. We already explained this for loop in our previous tutorial. So I'm not going to explain it here again. Basically, it's going to add display property none when I click on this cross icon. So let's add a new list item. So here I'm going to type by Apple. And I'm going to press add button. After press add button, as you can see, it's not working. I think there is a problem in my code. I think there is a problem of closing tag. Because this is the end of for loop closing tag. So, as you know, we write this for loop inside the my function. So here we need to pass another closing tag. If I save this file, then I'm going to try to add a new item on this list by Apple. And I'm going to press add button. After press add button, as you can see, it add by Apple in our list. Then also I'm going to press close button. As you can see, after press close button, it removed the item from the list. So I successfully create my to-do list using CSS, JavaScript and HTML. So thanks for watching this project. Stay tuned for our next course.